All right, I'm back to TNF. First things first. Yes, this is a new background. Yes, I did literally just last night finish moving out of downtown LA. So we're in a new place today, and I realized that I had not set up OBS on my new computer yet. So we're doing this on StreamYard. We're kind of going back to our roots a little bit here, EJ.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's we had a little DM exchange earlier. It's what we call foreshadowing in the biz. Hey, you think everything's gonna work? Oh yeah, no problem. We'll roll right into it. Sweet. Well, we are here. It's Thursday night. We actually have a good game to launch this series, which is amazing. I know Amazon loves that. We definitely have worked our way through some lesser games. This does not, at the outset, look like it's going to be one of those. This looks like it's going to be a good matchup and a divisional matchup.
It's TNF games with a lot of people banged up, so we'll see. Okay,
Of course.
This particular script doesn't have a great track record. I'm just hoping people get out of this thing healthy. Lots of storylines to look forward to tonight. I don't want to say conversion, the utilization of Devon Achane as a receiver now. He seems to also be their number 3 receiver in addition to being a RB1 for them tonight. I would say Keon Coleman is somebody to watch tonight to see where he kind of fits in between him and Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid. I'm not sure we're ever going to get a pecking order, like a traditional pecking order in this collection of weapons, but I'm really interested to see where his role shakes out. I assume he's going to draw a lot of Jalen Ramsey outside. I would also say Josh Allen. How much is he going to get used in the red zone as a runner versus James Cook? I have personal investment in that, and I would really like to see James Cook get some freaking carries inside the 10. So we'll see. But a lot of storylines. Jalen Phillips coming off that Achilles. He looked good last week. 10 months removed from that. We'll see how he does against a really good tackle duo tonight. What are you looking forward to, each?
Oh, there's a lot to look for. You're right. In terms of how things are going, I imagine Jeff Wilson's going to play a very significant role because Devon Achane is like borderline. And then, late today said, yep, I'm playing. I think Wilson's still going to get a very good workload. You talked about Jalen Ramsey, and I rewatched the game this morning from last week, and he was a factor in both of Jacksonville's early TDs. The long PI to BTJ is how they set up their first little 1-yard plunge, and then BTJ got him again on the second one. He was doubling him, as a matter of fact. So I think, you probably don't want to go at Jalen Ramsey a lot, but you can't not go at him after last week because he gave up 2 of the biggest plays to the Jaguars. So I think the Bills and Josh Allen should probably take their shots. I don't think it's a great strategy to just poke the bear all game long with Jalen Ramsey and see what happens. But that doesn't mean just stay away from his side of the field. On the Bills side, it'll be really interesting to see, again, on the road, early season. This is a classic storyline. How are the Bills going to hold up when it's, almost 90 degrees, almost 80% humidity, early season game in Miami? Heat's certainly going to be a factor. And how does that, somewhat new look offense, new look really from the middle of last year, more of a run first outfit, hold up and succeed, hopefully, against the Dolphins. Dolphins weren't great against the middle run last week. I didn't come away thinking
they miss Wilkins.
Yeah, they miss Wilkins a little bit. I think they relied on his ability to handle, 2 full gaps by himself. They got better at the outside. Dolphins are going to want to run the outside screen game. They ran a couple of middle screens, but it didn't really work. But Mike McDaniel loves the outside screen game. They use it religiously. And the Bills are going to have to prove that they can get over there and shut that down early, or he's just going to keep going right back to the well, because they can pick up a quick 7 or 8 a lot of times, unless your defenders flow over there and beat the first block, because the other receiver is really good at catching that first guy in and letting whoever caught the ball get a free 3-4 yards and then make 3-4 more through contact. And sure enough, they're looking at second and short. So it'll be a fascinating sort of back and forth as they set each other up. Of course, these teams do not like each other. They see each other a couple times a year, and their fans don't like each other either. Let's just put it that way. And I think it's going to be a great setup. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll see who has early success and who has to adjust.
Chat said, "Oh, it's a sick Dolphins hoodie that I'm wearing." I'm actually not wearing a Dolphins hoodie. I'll show you. I'm wearing my new and improved Eagles hoodie. It's the Philly special
with no lines. I'll have you know,
with no lines. We actually just put that live on the store over at brettcoleman.com/studio. I'll link that in chat. But if you're an Eagles fan that happens to be here right now, check it out. We just launched it. And it's the first hoodie I've launched that wasn't cobbled together by me and Adobe Illustrator. So it looks better now.
It's improved.
I want to answer a couple super chats here. Paxman, he and I had a little back and forth on last Thursday. If we removed Worthy's stats since he was lucky and we let Keon keep his from week 1, who do you think will finish with a better statistical year? I will say this. It was a blown coverage. Like, it's a blown coverage. Corner thought they were in cover 2. Safety thought they were in quarters. They just let him go. Like, yeah, he's going to score. He runs 4-2 against a blown coverage. He's going to score. And then the other catch that he got, like, it was mesh, and he came open on mesh. So he's super fast. Obviously, he's a playmaker. But I still have the same opinion of Xavier Worthy that I've had the entire time. High-end role player. I don't necessarily think he fixes their need for a number 1 receiver, just like I don't think Rashee Rice is a number 1 receiver. He got a lot of production in Thursday night's game because, he was running whip returns against a fucking backup linebacker. He better win. So I think the Chiefs' true number 1 receiver is just Andy Reid. In terms of how he's able to scheme up guys to manufacture production. I'm not saying they're bad football players. I'm just saying if you put Xavier Worthy on most other teams in the league, he would still be the same thing, which is a high-end role player. He's going to be good, but like that is not a number 1 receiver to me. A 165-pound receiver is not going to be a number 1. He'll have some big plays. He'll get some touchdowns. He'll give them explosives. But as far as like who has a better chance of being a number 1 in the NFL, it's probably Keon Coleman. And I have not wavered on that even a little bit. What say you, EJ? Please take this grenade from my hand.
Oh, man, you already pulled the pin. I don't want to handle that thing. I like Xavier Worthy a lot. I thought he was a better than advertised route runner early on in the process when I saw him live. And then when I went back and did film study on him, this is well before his 40 at the combine that lit the world on fire. Everybody knew he was fast. He was a track guy anyways, but he ran 3 or 4 good routes in college. And that sounds like backhanded praise, but it is not. If you get a college receiver who is a master of 3 or 4 routes, that's really good. Now, are there better college receivers? There are. Are there a lot of them? There are not. Even the top receivers run 3, 4, maybe 5 good routes. And Worthy, everybody just said, oh, look, he's a go guy. He's a bang 7 guy. He's just a down the field guy. That's all he can do is stretch the defense. That wasn't true ever. Like even at Texas, he can work laterally very well. He's good along the sidelines. Is he the biggest guy? Is he going to hold up through press? No, he's not. But there's a guy in this game, Jalen Waddle, who is a pretty good receiver at the pro level and is pretty darn small. So I think Worthy's ceiling is probably a very serviceable number 2. Is he a number 1? Is he an alpha? Is he the answer to any team's passing game? No, but I think he's more than just a fast guy and could work his way into a number 2 role overall. Eventually, is he going to be that this season in Kansas City? I don't know. Like you said, there's no really defined alpha. It's going to be a different alpha every week. Some weeks it's going to be Kelsey. Some weeks it's going to be Rice. Some weeks it's going to be, who knows? Carson Steele. So that's a real strength of the KC offense, but there are going to be weeks where he goes off because people will not hold with that speed, and that'll be the end of that.
As somebody who was forced to start Carson Steele in one of my 9 leagues this week, please be Carson Steele.
Please be Carson Steele.
I really need that. Which, by the way, it's such a degenerate format. It's rookies only. It's a rookie only auction where literally none of us had enough budget to fill a roster. So it became a question of okay, well, are you going to be one of the 4 people in a 12-person league that has a quarterback? but nothing else because you spent all your budget on a quarterback? Or
Yeah.
are you not going to have a quarterback at all and then fill out the rest of the roster? I went the quarterback route, and the one I took was JJ McCarthy. So like I'm just all the way fucked. Like, so I have my dollar Carson Steele in the lineup. I'm begging for vultured touchdowns every week. I'm probably gonna lose. But yeah. Well, by the way, speaking of fantasy losses, I didn't tell you about this. There's a lot of people in the chat right now that are specifically waiting for this.
Oh yes. No, I heard about this.
So for those that don't know, I am in what's called a malort league. Every single week in this league, if you are the lowest scorer, you have to take a shot of malort for the rest of the league. And even if you're not the lowest scorer, if you lose by the most, if you lose by the biggest margin, you also have to take a shot. I did both in week 1. So I think I'm going to finish off my bottle of malort tonight. I'm going to do one shot now, and then I'll do one shot for the second half kickoff.
Do you know what like the third most popular question I get asked when I meet people and you're not with me is about you?
What?
How is he not dead?
Dude, the Bears game last year almost
And
killed
I know
me.
exactly what they're talking about. They're not talking about that time in high school that your tire came off and you hit the guardrail. Like they're talking about the Bears game with Malort. They're like, how is he not dead? I'm like, built different, I guess. Like I know exactly what they're talking about. It's the shortest conversation ever, but it's like the third most asked question I get.
Darling, I drink for a living. Cheers.
Oh man. Yeah, welcome back. It just never you never really get used to it. It's
why do my eyes hurt?
It's kind of like race gas when you're in a garage and you start up the car and you run a methanol and you're like, why are my eyes burning? Oh yeah, it's the alcohol.
Dude, I literally teared up on contact. Jesus.
Yeah, I think that's malort PTSD is what we call that.
Oh, I haven't had to do that in like 6 months. That's awful.
I know. It's been so pleasant. And now you're back. Now we are truly back, Chad. It's malort season for Brett, not for
Hold
EJ.
on. I brought something to fight against it for the chaser.
I was going to say.
Have you ever had these?
Yes.
Oh, it's the only thing that cuts through it in my experience.
Really?
It's chocolate covered acai beer. I don't know why, but chemically, it just... This is my champion tonight.
Anything that would counter that is amazing and powerful stuff. So I used to have those in my backpack, like the backpack that I fly with in case I got stuck at the airport or whatever. I had a bag of those things that I just, munch on them, but I never use them to counter malort. That's fascinating. We'll have to have one.
I'm good now.
It's fast acting too, apparently.
Oh man.
That's amazing.
Right. Before we get into a couple more super chats, I do want to take chat through our Underdog entries for tonight because I know people are, game starts in like 15 minutes. They're like, okay, give me the picks.
Come on, man. Let's go.
I have two for tonight. So I did Gregory Rousseau higher than half a sack. This one's tough just because Tua gets the ball out so quickly. But if we're just talking about edge versus tackle matchup.
But if you watched Rousseau last week, that feels pretty solid, man. He's going to be on scene this year. This is not a 1 week wonder with Greg Rousseau. He has been building to this. And if you just look at him, he had so much physical potential and it looks like he's maximized it.
Yeah. Having 35-inch arms helps a lot. So I took higher than half sack on Rousseau. I took lower on longest reception for Tyreek Hill of 29.5 yards. I think he's going to get a couple 20 plus, but I'm just banking on, okay, they're building the umbrella. You can get anything you want under 20 or under 25. Just don't get 80 like you did last week. I took higher on 32.5 passing attempts to Tua. I think they're going to struggle to run the ball tonight. So I think they're going to have to throw a lot. And then I took higher on Waddle at 4.5 receptions. And I took higher on James Cook at 60.5 rushing yards. That one was tough, but I just need one big run from him and I'm good. And then our second entry for tonight, because I wanted to diversify myself a little bit. We took again Tua lower on longest completion of 39.5. So that one felt, and it was interesting that it was set at 39.5 yards as like longest completion, but I was like, okay, again, if we're going with the umbrella theory. Josh Allen higher on longest rush of 11.5 yards. James Cook higher on 16.5 again. Keon Coleman higher on 44.5 rushing plus receiving yards. And Tyreek Hill lower than 17.95 fantasy points. So basically this whole idea I have in my head is it's going to have to be like dink and dunk city for both teams tonight. Like no big plays, nauseatingly long drives, like 22-19 and score, solid football game, but nothing crazy, which ultimately means it's going to be like 45-40, which I'm okay with. But that's kind of how I see tonight going.
You're going to hit the over on points. There's some tightrope walking. I had a couple of friends reach out to me, as is usually the case before NFL games, and say, what do you think? And where would you go with it? And what about the line 2.5? I saw that in one of our super chats. The 2.5 line, if the home team is favored by less than a field goal, it's a toss up. That's odds makers literally telling you, we don't know. Like, we're going to give the home team some points, but we're not even going to give them a full score. So take your chances. We want action for both sides, so we're going to keep it close. So that's just what that is. And a lot of these lines feel like that. You know, the 201, if it could be air yards, I would absolutely take the
way
lower.
under. Way under.
Absolutely take the lower. But with all the yak that the Dolphins get, the chance that one of those guys, either Waddle or Hill or, even Wilson, like, hey,
or Achane.
All
if
those
you guys, for those of you that are, again, in the last 15 minutes that we had before kickoff, if you haven't played on Underdog before, you can do so at the link in the description. There is a new customer free pick for this week, which is Caleb Williams at 0.5 yard. So we're assuming that they will be slightly better this week, and he can get 0.5 yard, and he's not going to George Pickens us this week. If you're an existing customer, they also have a CeeDee Lamb free pick right now as well. So you're not going to get left out just because you already play on Underdog. Again, use promo code bootleg. You'll get up to a $1,000 deposit bonus and that free pick. Thank you to Underdog for making this whole thing possible.
Yeah, we got boost tokens this year.
And there's boost tokens, there's profit boosters, there's
vulture protection. There's a special like basically every day. And one of my favorite things about this year compared to previous years is that Underdog is taking care of the OGs. Underdog is taking care of the folks that have ridden with us since the beginning. So existing customers have not only pick'em specials, but also specials where if you deposit, you get a boost to it. Stuff for folks that have been supporting us. I just appreciate that so much. I reached out to Underdog's leadership and said, this is so cool that you're just not just about generating new customers. Of course, that's important, but taking care of the folks that have been there for a couple of years, hanging out with us on Thursday nights, watching the slips, making their own. Like, I just appreciate that so much. One of the reasons I love working with them.
It's also just a well-run company. The fact that we can get in touch with like their C-suite with a text.
Yeah, pretty much.
Never worked with another brand that does that, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Mad Tom for $10. What's the bigger problem for the Falcons? A bad OC or a bad player, or bad players on offense? McGarry, Cousins, Pitts, parentheses as a route runner, etc. I would say the bigger problem for the Falcons right now is I don't think Kirk can move.
He's not healthy.
That's the issue.
No.
Like, if you put Penix in there right now, they're probably fine. Like, truly, I think they're fine. But, and Luke Braun pointed it out. He was the first one that I saw pointed out about how his footwork is different this year. He's even footwork instead of left foot back. All the pistol stuff because he literally can't get out fast enough to hit the landmarks he needs to hit for all the wide zone stuff they like to do. There's a clip that came out today of him like doing under center footwork in practice, and I was like, he can't get there. Like, they can't run wide zone from under center. So he just can't fucking move. Like, they need to put Penix in or they can't run the offense they're supposed to run. Nobody should be in pistol as much as Atlanta was in week 1. Like, it's not 10.
And the thing is, the reason they're doing that, like, it's half and half, and it's the worst of both worlds. Like Cousins hates shotgun.
Yeah.
He wants to be under center, running a play action offense, and that's where he has his greatest success. Well, he, as you pointed out, physically can't do that right now. So they're like, hey, why don't we split the difference and just play the whole game in pistol? And Kirk's like, well, I hate that half as much. And the offensive coordinator's like, this is so limiting. I don't love this either. And everybody's just like, great. I guess we blew everything up because we got a quarterback that's not ready yet. He's half baked. He can't move. I don't think if week 2 looks like week 1, I think they're probably going to sit him back down and give him a couple of weeks and let Penix rip. Now, fascinating subplot. If Penix takes off with that offense, which is very, very possible, all those playmakers, then you've got yourself a conundrum. I understand from a team standpoint, that's very difficult, but physically right now, 40% of your playbook is just, you might as well just tear it out and throw it on the ground. So
you can't do it.
That's really, really difficult. And he can't step into throws in the same way. There are a couple where he actually lifted his back foot in week 1 to throw the ball, which is ask any quarterback mechanics person, like you're just robbing yourself of all the power. Like everything's kind of half-assed and half-baked, and it's because he physically just can't do it yet. And I think the answer is sit him down, let him heal up a little bit, run Penix. We'll see how they react. There's obviously a very strong pressure, and it may be, I don't know, might not be from the coaching suite, might be owner pressure. I don't know. They paid a lot of money.
Honestly, I think it's Kirk pressure because I think he knows that once Penix gets in there, he's not getting back. Like Kirk literally cannot come off the field because he's not going to go back on.
So, yeah, it's not a great scenario, not because Kirk's not good or because we think the Penix pick was dumb or anything else. It's literally because Kirk's leg doesn't work right now. And I don't care what you're doing in the NFL, your leg has to work. So
it reminds me of the early 2000s Miami Hurricanes team. And I think it was it Reggie Wayne and Santana Moss? I think they were on a podcast together, and they're talking about that early 2000 Canes team where the older receivers were great, right? You know, they were like future high round draft picks, Hall of Famers in some case with Reggie. And they were talking about how practices were super physical because they're going against like, you know, Ed Reed and Vince Wilfork and all. And if you got banged up in practice, specifically the receivers, they're like,
yep,
we would play through everything because there was this fucking terrifying young freshman on the depth chart behind us named Andre Johnson. And if we left, we were not getting back on the field. So even they understood back then of like, if there's somebody better than you, you can't get hurt. And he's hurt. So it's an impossible situation.
Yeah, there's no great answer. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Hendog 1000, welcome back, Hendog. Hope you're feeling better, by the way. He was going through the ringer last season because of an accident, if I recall correctly, right? For $19.99. Thank you, Hendog. Let's go, HN. Got him in the 3rd round of my fantasy leagues to pair with Brees and Nico Collins. Need some big numbers. Getting him in the 3rd round alone is
there's your victory. Yeah, and
I couldn't get him past like 15.
Yeah, lean towards that in the second half of the season. I think he's playing again a little bit because of what we just talked about. He wants to be there. He wants to get his touches, but I think they would also be smart to limit him. They need him down the stretch. They didn't have him there last year. They want him there. Winning games in September is great, but it's not going to win you the division or the league. And they have other running backs. Again, this is not a running back bereft team. They are deep there. They can let him get 10, 12 touches tonight, and that'll be fine. Won't be great for your fantasy team right now, but it's better for your fantasy team down the line.
Hope again you're feeling better again, Hendog. Ben Hermes for $5. Thank you, Ben. Brett, would you say you have a concept of a plan for James Cook in fantasy?
Ouch.
Oh God, how do
we have a concept of a plan for a lot of things? Yeah, we have a concept of a plan for a lot of things.
They're eating the Dolphins.
No, that's just the tuna companies.
They're coming from out of state. These Western New Yorkers, they're eating the Dolphins.
Oh my God. All the jokes from people in Ohio about the Bengals. They're eating your cats. They're like, yeah, we know, we saw.
Yeah. Just Vibing for $50. Thank you, Just Vibing. Appreciate you once again coming back this year. Just got a pay raise recently. Let's go. Also won a group bet on whose teams would be the worst in week 1. In your opinions, well, first of all, I want to know who your bet was that would be the worst. I got knocked out of my survivor pool in week 1, so you're better than me at this. In your opinions, was the Vikings win more the Giants being bad or us being good? Vikings got a Super Bowl. Oh, God.
It was both.
Yes.
I just watched that game. It was both. The Vikings played well. There's nothing to really shoot at with the Vikings performance. Did they play great? They did not play great, but they did play well. The Giants played surprisingly well too, outside of the quarterback position. They have a lot of good players on that team, and it would be maximized if they too could actually run their offense with a competent quarterback. But we've talked at length about that. In fact, on this week's podcast, Brett and I went back and forth about whether or not, if you just swapped quarterbacks in that game, whether or not the Giants would have won. And I think with some of the throws that Darnold made, it's actually quite possible that Giants would have taken that. So they didn't play bad as a team, but they are in big trouble as an offense. Their offense is non-functional. 6 points. Daniel Jones was abysmal. We talked about that on the recap pod this week. But the Vikings played well. There's this is not taking away from the Vikings and saying, oh, they only won because they played, a super crappy team. Giants again played decently on defense, and the Vikings played well. Darnold hit throws. That offense is working. Kevin O'Connell he's pushing the right buttons. The defense looked good. They brought pressure in ways that we thought they would. It's a little bit of both, a little from column A, a little from column B.
I will say the Van Ginkel pickup already.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we praised the hell out of it all off season.
Like three plays in the first quarter, and you're like, yeah, we told you. Like, yes, that looks like Andrew Van Ginkel.
10 million was not enough. We said it at the time. We still stand by it. Ivan Pace, I think, is going to have a really special year rushing the passer.
Still a menace.
If I recall correctly, he was one of EJ's 10 gems for that year,
yes,
even though he was a UDFA. Let's see. Sam Darnold. Well, at least one of us is a believer in Sam Darnold. He looked pretty darn good.
After watching that game, like I knew that you were going to be floating back up to your cloud of Darnold believership, because you should have. Like, he played. That was the good Sam Darnold. And just like we talked about Baker before, really, when he was floating around the league and before he got to Tampa Bay, there was good Baker and bad Baker. And a lot of times we got to see more bad Baker than good. And Baker's talked very honestly about why that was. Since he's gotten to Tampa, we've gotten to see way more good than bad. And maybe I'm willing to say the establishment of the good Sam Darnold vibes is, going to be his mesh with Kevin O'Connell, working with a receiver like Justin Jefferson. Everybody loves that. By the way, I felt really bad for Banks, corner on the Giants, who got beat for the touchdown. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's perfect coverage. Like, he literally touched the football. He touched the football and slant. He's between the quarterback and the wide receiver. He dislodged it. Justin Jefferson only had it with one hand, then secured it with two. Like, and people are like, oh, you just can't guard him. I'm like, he did. He guarded him. Like, he can't. There isn't anything else he can do besides tackle him off the snap. So Deonte Banks, good player, but on that one, you're just, hey man, it's Justin Jefferson.
I would say the same thing for Dexter Lawrence. Like,
oh yeah,
he was maybe the best player in the NFL in week 1.
He's so
and it didn't matter.
Yep.
It just,
I feel worse for Dex than anybody else. Like, on that entire
100%.
team, like
100%.
He is their best player. And I'm not talking about on defense. He is their best player. And that is non-negotiable. Better than anybody else on the Giants by far. And he is playing his ass off at an all-pro plus level. Like, if there is such a thing. And he has zero hope that they're going to win any games, because it's not up to him, but he's out there just wrecking crap still. And that's not new, but I feel worse for Dex than just about anybody else, because he's going to go out there and play hard, and it's not going to add up to anything. And he knows it right now.
I had a thought. Giants fans are going to hate it, but what is the possibility? Like, let's say the Giants are down bad, like week 6, week 7.
I was gonna say,
They're like,
what do you mean?
I mean, like
Theoretically,
down,
the Giants
they're
are
already
down
down bad. How about
Yeah.
down cataclysmic, down
Okay.
catastrophic by like
All
week
right.
7. And by week 8, it's down apocalyptic. And they're slated to be a top 3 pick, but they want to make sure that they're a top 1 pick, or at least having ammo, because they don't want to get into a similar position like last year where they were bad but not bad enough, or they just didn't have enough ammo to go up and get a guy.
Yep.
Do you think they would even consider it? Offloading Dex for 2 1s? Because that's what he's worth.
I'm gonna plead bleeding blue at this point. Like, oh man, it's just so heartbreaking to think about. Like,
I'm not saying
sure
I want it to happen.
No,
I'm
no.
just saying they might consider it.
Can you do it for anybody besides Dex? Like, is there
They have nothing else worth anything.
they do. They have other players worth things, but like, I don't know. I wonder how Dex feels, and he would never say candidly, publicly, hey, I want to go to a contender. He's not there yet. I don't think he's going to say, hey, I want to win with the team that drafted me. And I think that we have good play. He's going to say all that stuff. In his heart of hearts, I wonder how he feels about it, but it's kind of heartbreaking to me to think about, like, you've played your heart out and made yourself one of the most valuable players in the NFL on a bunch of bad teams. Maybe they're granting his wish on a get out of jail free card. Maybe he feels that way, but if he feels loyal to the Giants, it would feel like a double kick in the nuts, I guess. Anyways,
I'm looking at who has cap space, and like, there's not like a great fit.
Oh no! I mean,
other than
you're gonna have to pay him.
What problem does that solve for him?
Yeah,
but
no. You're gonna have to pay him number 1 money. But Dolphins with the football, let's go TNF.
All right. I think we successfully vamped long enough, EJ.
We got football on Thursday night, and at least at the outset, it looks like it's going to be a very, very good game. Just vibing. Thank you very much. I am super glad you got your bag. I'm always glad when folks in the NFL get paid. I'm glad when folks in chat get paid too.
Mike McDaniel got Tanner. He's been in Florida long enough now.
Oh, have you seen the side-by-side from when he took the job to now?
No.
People like Mike McDaniel has fully embraced the South Beach cocaine lord vibe. Like, he is, he's there. He's got the nice watch. Hair's a little longer, a little curlier, definitely more tan. They had him in a very nice designer shirt. It was just, it was the metamorphosis is complete. He is engaged in South Florida.
Yeah, Florida Cliff Kingsbury.
Anyways, I'm not going to.
I know you're trying not to get in trouble tonight.
I was. That's early trouble. We'll do good trouble later.
All right, we got a little fullback dive with Ingold.
3rd and 1. Ingold was very effective with these last week. Again, just rewatched the Dolphins tape this morning, making notes for this game, and this is their version of the tush push. The spin handoff to Ingold, and sometimes the reverse spin handoff to Ingold, with him in a half set. Like, that's their version of, fullback dive is their tush push.
All right. Yeah, they're playing cloud to Tyreek's side. Like, it's either going to be cover 2 or it's going to be quarter half to Tyreek all day long. They are not.
That's a great play by Douglas, though. We talked about speed to the outside and the fact that the Bills are going to have to show up early with the ability to counter speed to the outside, whether it's quick screens or whether it's outside, outside zone runs. Dips the block, dips the shoulder, catches him cleanly in the thigh in the backfield. Like, that's a really good play, and they're going to need that all night long, because if the Dolphins can't have that at will through either format, they're going to have to do other things, and that'll actually play better for the Bills. So these are the early punches.
I'm not sure why Tua threw that so far outside.
Oh, yeah, no, that looked like split the safeties to me.
Yeah, that was not in the right zip code.
By the way, one of the things that came out of film study this morning is Bills defenders are going to have to hang on because almost all of the major explosive plays down the field for the Dolphins in week 1 came later in the down, after a second hitch, after a third hitch, going through 3 options and going back to 1 when he'd freed up. Tua will hurt you late in the down, so you've got to hold coverage.
Oh God. That looked like it just bounced right off his hands. That was a great seam ball.
Yep. But the Bills needed this. They needed turnovers.
I want to see the replay on that. I swear it just hit him right in the hands.
Well, the defender's hands were there too, so we'll see whose hands it hit. I don't think Tua is going to get down about that one. He threw it where he was supposed to.
That was a great ball.
Yeah, it was a very good ball, but it's the NFL, game of inches. Let's see who gets their hands on it. He cuts
and I love the concept too.
Oh, that's a nasty carom. He gets everything on it. Oh, it just hits him in the back shoulder.
You can tell that they were watching all the third down tape for Buffalo because last week against Arizona, Buffalo was very cover 2 heavy. And so they knew they were going to get that. And if you look at the concept, they were presenting 2 high pre-snaps. So you had the middle seam. And the thing with Buffalo is it's not always going to be a Tampa dropper. Like sometimes it'll be Tampa. Sometimes, they kind of, especially against Miami, which is a very dangerous run after catch team. They're going to kind of hold the mic there and they're going to make the safeties responsible for collapsing on the seams. And so they knew they were going to get that. So they ran that middle seam as the clear out to draw the safety to then have another bender behind it, kind of in that seam area. Great concept. Like it was there.
Yep.
Just didn't execute. I mean, Tua executed. Everybody else not so much, but I love the concept. Like that's great.
Couple of good early things for the Bills, getting Dalton Kincaid in early on basically a scheme touch, little outbreaker to the tight end, get his hand on the ball early, and then James Cook early for the first down. Both of those guys are, I think, going to have to be the primary threats. Here we go again with Kincaid, little quick hitter right up north-south. They didn't engage him as much as I thought they might in week 1. Maybe that was on purpose. Maybe not. They got Dawson Knox the ball a couple of times. These are good signs for the Bills. Those are 2 of their best players on offense, and they're going to have to lean on them tonight, and they're leaning on them early.
He took a knee right to the head.
Yep. Yeah, late too. Oh! Slow motion of that's not friendly.
Yeah. So we talked over summer about how Diggs no longer being there means that this offense is going to be more about, distributing to a wider array of targets, right? And kind of almost reminding me of Kansas City the last 2 years where they didn't necessarily have a true number one. Well, they had Travis, but other than Travis, it was really more about just find the open guy or it was more about, okay, based on the play call and the coverage we're getting, who's going to be the matchup. And I kind of feel like we're going to see that from Buffalo this year where there's not like a definitive true number one, like what we think of with Justin Jefferson or Devontae Adams or anything like that. Like there's going to be somebody who leads them in receiving, but I don't think the target share is going to be massively different from number 1 to number 4, right? And ultimately, I think that's better for Josh too.
Yeah, and strangely enough, it looks more like the team they're chasing, Kansas City, which is week to week. Who's the matchup? Who's going to get the best leverage? 2 things quickly. The Dolphins throwbacks are elite. They're wearing those tonight. And Anthony Weaver is blitzing his way to run stuffs. He did it last week as well. He is sending the dudes. They just did it right there. There were basically 3 guys at the handoff point. And that is how Anthony Weaver is trying to stop the run early. Later on, they ran a lot of straight 4-man rushes with zone coverage behind it. Bills receivers are going to have to sit down in that tonight because the Dolphins left a lot of space in that back end of zone coverage. A lot of the receptions were, not even necessarily guys in frame. Guys got there and made, rallied and tackled last week in Jacksonville. But if the defensive game plan remains the same, we're going to see a lot of run blitzes early on to, again, try and get explosive negative plays for the defense early in the downs to give them a more advantageous position where the Bills are going to have 3rd and long. And we'll see how that goes. And after that, yeah, they did blitz. I mean, it's not like they didn't blitz, but there was a lot of straightforward with zone behind it.
Okay, we got bunch to the field. Oh, okay. Return orbit.
They're just checking out. The first one was to see what coverage.
We got a touchdown. Here we go. All right, so
move them.
A lot of window dressing on that,
Yep.
where it's an orbit, return, and then back to a flare to the boundary. And it feels like they were just trying to draw everybody's eyes to hit James Cook in the opposite flat.
And Brady wanted to see who he had. Like, the first motion was to see, okay, who's on who? Are you gonna rotate? Are you gonna go with it? Yeah. Yep. They just ran him through 2 picks, basically. Yeah, that was the whole point.
Yeah, the old car wash concept.
As long as Josh gets that ball up and over the blitzer, that's going to be right at the pylon. It's going to be a play at the pylon.
Okay, well, that helps me as a James Cook, as somebody who really is relying on James Cook tonight in fantasy. Like, that's great for me. So I'm all right with it.
It's such an unlucky bounce too. That, great to see the Bills on the road catch the ball. I in my notes, I said, look, Tua's going to throw the defense a couple. I don't really count that one as throwing to the defense, but Tua last week and almost every week is one of those quarterbacks that as a defense, you got to be ready to catch it because he's going to throw you a couple. Kind of reminds me of late career Favre with the Packers. Like, he would throw you a couple. He would also throw a couple over your head for long touchdowns, but every week he's going to give you a couple opportunities. That one's not really on Tua. Like, look, it hit the wide receiver in the shoulder. It's bad bounce. But still, Tua is going to throw the Bills defense a couple, and they are going to have to catch them if they want to compete on the road. They want to win this game. Again, it means the Dolphins are going to have to come up to Orchard Park late in the season. That too will be advantageous. If they take the first game down here, it's kind of like a 1+ swing, right? You won on the road versus your division rival, and now you've got them coming to your house in the season when you want them there. They're going to have to take advantage of those opportunities. They took advantage of the first one. They scored quickly. It looked efficient. Joe Brady, boy, I know there was a lot of question mark. And again, this is all hindsight. Like, when he took over, but it was like, is he really going to be that much better? What's really going to change mid-season? A lot. Like,
yeah, they went from 6-6 to winning the division because of Joe Brady. Not that he was perfect last year, but he was pretty darn good.
But he was better than what was there for sure, and he was better for this team. There is something to be said for fit with personnel and understanding what you've got and playing to your strengths. Joe Brady did a very good job of that. Looks like in the beginning of this game, certainly he's understanding that. He's continuing to understand that and probably understands it even better after a full offseason as the OC.
Jared Cole for $2, our resident Browns fan. Welcome back, gents. Just want to say I miss Baker. You and most of Eastern Ohio, Jared.
You should now, boy. This week is pile on Deshaun Watson week, and I mean on the football field. Lots of analysts, including us, talking about how little he is giving his team as a starting quarterback right now. And I think that's all warranted. That is, if you look at the tape, he is not helping. Like, he is part of the problem. What'd you open?
I don't remember getting this. I think this was one of the bottles that Nikki and I brought back from. So for those that don't know, back in New Year's week, because my wife's a New Year's baby, we went up to Napa for her birthday, and we brought back a bunch of bottles that we don't remember buying, and I think this was one of them. So it's a Zinfandel from Napa that is delicious.
There we go.
I didn't feel like doing whiskey tonight. I felt like it was a wine kind of night.
Yeah, well, that's going to be all you. It's not ever going to be a wine night for me. Wine and I, for the most part, don't agree.
You got a beer?
I do got a beer. I got a limited release from a local brewery that is right up by Lumenfield, as a matter of fact. Sea Pine Brewing. one of my favorites. And this is their light lager, which they do not normally make. I picked it up and it is delightful. 4%. This is a 16-ounce can and it is bright, but not particularly like citrusy. Ooh, sorry. Dolphins got away with one there.
I didn't see it. What happened?
Oh, well, there was a ball that got thrown into / over a bunch. What is that about? Anyways, Sea Pine's great. I love Sea Pine. We actually did our first fan meetup ever as bootleg at Sea Pine Brewing.
That was at Sea Pine?
That was at Sea Pine.
Oh, I don't even remember. I remember the event. I don't remember the brewery. Here we go. Little end around the Waddle. Let's go.
Yeah, Waddle's usage last week was interesting. I felt like I kind of felt like I was watching DK in Seattle. You forgot about him for a lot of the game. He had a couple of big plays. It added up. His stats added up nicely at the end of the game. But as you watch the flow of the game, it very much felt like they were going to Tyreek. They're certainly trying to run the ball. They went to a couple other receivers, and it just seemed like, boy, Waddle's usage was about once a quarter. And I have a feeling they sat down with the tape and look, sometimes that just happens. It's not on purpose. It's not like Waddle's in the doghouse. They just, they audible out of a play that was supposed to run to him as first option, stuff like that. And it just sort of adds up. And you look at the sort of call sheet at the end of the night and go, wait a second, we only targeted Waddle like 6 times in the entire game. That should be higher. So they probably put a little bit of emphasis on getting him one early and getting him involved.
The fact that they can do that tap pass sweep with Tyreek, like literally anytime they want to for 7 yards, is just insane. Like, it's coming, and it doesn't matter. He's going to get a first down on it at least once a game. It's just unreal speed, man.
Well, the big play to Tyreek last week, strangely enough, was not what it looked like. Like, it was basically just a crosser, and then he saw that Tua was basically double clutching and holding it, and he was like, hey, I'll run the route I made famous in Kansas City. Like, I'll just keep going and turn this up.
Did you see that Tua said that his first read apparently was Waddle, speaking of ignoring Waddle. And Waddle was open, but he knew against a middle field closed structure that Tyreek was about to come open.
And he sure did.
So he's just like, I'm just going to wait for it. I'm going to hit second window on it. Boom.
Yeah.
80-yard touchdown. But I was like,
basically almost like third. Like he hitched and then he stood there. Like if we were doing hitches on a normal cadence, it would have been third or even fourth hitch. But he like hitched and then kind of stood there and like literally waited for Tyreek to clear the middle line of the field. And then he was like, he's going to bend it up and I'm going to throw it to him. It's going to be an 80-yard touchdown. But it looked a whole lot. Yeah, it looked a whole lot like the route that Mahomes used to throw to him in Kansas City that made him all the money.
These tight ends are putting in yeoman work on these pin and pulls. They've done like 4 pin and pulls so far of varying shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
McDaniel's the edge on these guys.
Yeah, McDaniel is multiple enough.
89. Who's 89? I'm just watching him every play.
Is it Hill? Hang on.
Let's see. 89 is Julian Hill. Yeah, he is blocking the shit out of these guys tonight.
Yeah.
Just watch 89 when he's on the field.
That's what he's there for. Well, it's already the third time the broadcast has highlighted him. So I think, and Bobby Babich has got his hands full. Because McDaniel's multiple enough in the run game that if outside zone and speed and sweeps and
Tyreek at fullback,
all that stuff happens, he can pivot. Oh, nice catch by Tua. Okay, the play wasn't very much, but the catch of that snap was something else.
They're going to come back to that. That was a tester. They just wanted to see how they were going to react to Tyreek being lined up as a fullback. Yeah. They're going to come back to that. I think they were testing it. That was the old Jurassic Park Raptors testing the enclosure.
Right.
Just see what they do.
Clever girl.
Third quarter, they're going to go back to that look. I don't know what they're going to run out of it, but they're going to run something.
That's the fascinating part, right? I know they're going to do something against the fence, but I don't know what. There's Wilson
Jeff,
getting
Jeff
involved.
Wilson does not look as bursty as he used to.
He looks bigger too.
He does look bigger. Like that looks like a 220 plus Jeff Wilson.
Right, but there's so many people this year. I mean, it's been talked about with Lamar and a bunch of other. God, I can't say skill position players because I really hate that terminology for offensive and defensive linemen. But I think the closest we got last year was a not safe for work designation that we're not going to go back to. So there's lots of players who've lost a little bit of weight, and everybody's talking about them being faster. Wilson kind of looks like he went the other way. I don't know if they're going to give that to him. No.
I think he might be a wee bit short. And last year, Mostert got 100% of their goal line carries, but he's out. So this might be Jeff Wilson territory since he looks like he's just roided out of his mind right now.
Man, that is the Tua play right there. That is the point guard. Like, I know he's going to clear. I know he's coming to space. I'm going to throw it to space right now. Before he clears that linebacker, I'm going to throw it to the opening. He's going to run right in there. Yeah.
Oh, fucking Julian Hill. Watch this dude block.
Yeah. He's clearing stuff out.
They didn't score, but just watch 89, folks.
No. He's, you know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Charlie Warner.
Yeah.
Like
but
that.
Bigger.
Warner's not small.
And I know that's what people come to the stream for is backup tight ends blocking.
That's backup tight end talk. That's right. Some places it's punter talk. Here,
just watch him. Just watch
backup
him, man.
Tight end talk. Well, I mean, these are the things that make football work. Talking about sealing the edge. We're talking about winning the edge. Oh yeah, he's hunting on that.
Oh, A-Chain's in. All right, yeah, they're backed up off the one. Time for A-Chain.
I like the motion. Yeah, I like the motion on that run play, but they basically ran themselves back into the Bills' strength, which, they weren't predicting. And like you said, a lot of these are testers. We're still first quarter. They're going to be like, all right, we did this and they did that. Okay, now come third quarter, come fourth quarter, we're going to change it up. We're going to make it look the same. We're going to run it differently. But on that particular play, like, they lost the gamble. They ended up running themselves back into more defensive players than they would have if they kept it going with the initial motion.
There it is. Alec Ingold, great block out in space. These guys are blocking, man.
You saw it on the tape last week with the wide receivers, especially on that wide screen. I mean, that's essentially a wide screen. It's a late developing one. But like, when the ball gets in space, Mike McDaniel has drilled into all these guys. I don't care who they are, whether they're running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Like, if you're out there, the ball flies over your head, turn around, find somebody and annihilate them, because that's what this offense is predicated on. We need space out there. We can't get 2 and 3 yard gains. We need 7 and 8 yard gains. So he gets the ball out and he just gets just enough of a piece, right? Ingold just gets just enough of a piece to spin him off. And then it's a walk-in for A-Chain.
I'll tell you what, Mike is calling a great game. Like, I don't think he's missed once. He is calling a great game.
I don't think he's missed once. I think he's tried and learned, which he's always going to do. But like, flat out, like, what are you doing? Which, when you're through a full quarter of NFL football, it feels like most offensive coordinators, there's going to be at least one like, what was that? Like, why did you try that right there? And haven't seen one of those yet.
Mark Murphy for $10. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you. In film, I saw the Eagles guard routinely tap the center, and the center snaps it almost immediately after. Would that be obvious about the snap? Saw the same thing when Kelsey was there last year too. So yes and no. It depends, because the tap, it's part of like the silent count procedure. So the center knows when to snap it, because the guard will look back. So he's looking for like a foot raise or, whatever like the signal is that the quarterback's in his cadence, right? And so that tap is how they use it as a timing mechanism to get the snap off. And everybody else is just looking at the ball. Where that can cause problems for the defense is Once you think you got it, is when they do, like, if they start feeling guys come off the ball like super quick because they're just looking for the tap, right? Then you come out there for a series of like, hey, tap, take a breath, then go. And it's almost like a way of doing a silent hard count, right? Because if you just talk to your guys, on the sideline in between drives, and it's like, oh, by the way, we're kind of taking a beat after the tap on this next one. We're going to try to get ourselves a free play, or in the huddle, if you say it there, like that's where you can kind of get defenses to jump a little bit, and then they're terrified and they don't want to do it anymore. So yes and no. Like, yes, it is an obvious tell of when the snap is coming, but there's also gamesmanship to it. And at the end of the day, defensive linemen are not going to move until they see the ball move, unless it's like such a long down and distance that like a 5-yard penalty isn't going to hurt them. Then they might get a little bit aggressive. Or there's some players, like Michael Bennett, who was like, fuck it, I'm just going to jump at everything. But for the most part, they're just going to go and move into the ball. Garrett Manitz, thank you, Garrett. My Saints look like a modern offense. I must not overreact. Help me, please. Yes, welcome to the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. It's wonderful there. You do have a modern offense. That's why it looked like a modern offense. It's great. We love it. They actually made a good coaching decision down there in New Orleans. And I don't
Derek
know.
looked happy. Derek looked.
He looked comfortable.
He looked really happy, and he hasn't looked really happy in a while. And when he's happy, he is a little bit like Kirk Cousins. When he heats up, and he's happy, he can drill it, and he drilled it a little bit on Sunday. It was fun to watch. The opponent has issues. Let's just leave it at that. But that doesn't mean that Carr was not throwing darts. He was.
Also, keep in mind that Clint Kubiak, who's the Saints OC, Clint's dad, Gary, taught Kyle Shanahan everything that Kyle knows. And we like to say, oh, Mike Shanahan was the biggest influence on Kyle Shanahan. No, Gary Kubiak was. So, Clint came up with the best possible inspirations, not just in Kyle, but also in his dad. He's gonna be a good one for them. All right. Khalil Shakir agenda's off to a good start tonight. Got our first catch for him.
Yeah. And again, this is the Bills having studied the same film. Again, everybody's got access to this, and they're seeing that they're going to drop zone coverage behind it, and they're going to have to run guys into spaces and hit those players in those spaces. Pretty perfect representation of exactly that. Josh was waiting for that. He was waiting for the end. He was waiting to throw it to the space, throws it to the space. Nice first, I was going to say first down. Came up a little bit short, but nice gain.
Josh. Oh, God. That's close. All right, Josh. Calm down a little bit there.
Yeah, it's
also,
tough.
Calais Campbell, almost 40. Still going strong.
Calais Campbell's first 4 reps in last week's game were like, holy crap, I want what he's having.
Because he was still pissed from the pregame incident, we'll call it. Little so scuffle. He was all juiced up, which was like, I want to fucking kill something.
I would like to see him juiced up more often, because he was crazy effective. He looked like Calais Campbell from 10 years ago. It was unreal.
Punting on 4th and 1 from the 40. Interesting. Yeah. I love a defensive coach.
Yeah, I actually wrote in my notes Calais Campbell, a problem. Question mark? He's always been good. He's always been solid. But again, that first quarter, I was like, wow, man, early season fresh legs is a real thing, because he was a difference maker for the first 7 minutes in that game. It was crazy.
I'm trying to find the the data, because there's a couple Twitter accounts that they'll determine whether they're the go forward index or whatever.
Oh yeah. The surrender.
And I kind of feel like that might have been a sneaky you could be aggressive and try for it,
Yeah. But again, early in the game, that index tends to go up because there is I don't want to say it's incentivized. It's tilted for when you're trailing.
I just feel like with the way the Dolphins offense is playing, it's like, I don't know if I want to let him back on the field.
I think future you is sort of looking forward to, hey, these guys could score a lot of points in a hurry. Do you really want to do that? But the index calculator might look at it and say, well, hey, leading in the game or close. Your old buddy Scott Hansen doing Lowe's ads.
I love Scott, by the way.
I know.
He's like one of my favorite human beings.
I know.
He's amazing. Bailey for $5 saw the AI chat summary. When are you taking the 193 shots of malort? If I keep losing in fantasy this year, it's probably going to be about 193 by the time the season's over. In fact, I still have one more I got to do in the second half. So stick around for the second half kickoff while I pay my dues.
Get excited. Yo. Oh, man. Yeah, I do not look forward to anything involving malort. Like,
yeah, EJ's just lucky they don't sell it in Washington.
Yeah, many people have volunteered to send me some, and I'm like, really? You don't need to.
He's not giving his address out to anybody.
I have plenty of Firestarter. I don't need a bottle of malort because I'm certainly not going to drink it. I've had mine.
And even if I ship you one, it'd be like, oh, it broke in the mail.
Yeah, sorry. Look at this.
Sucks.
Cap was loose. It was a little slippery. I dropped it. Oops.
Silly me. Julius Wyatt for $2. Matt Stafford not touching the ball in OT was bull. I mean, it's better than the old OT rules where even a field goal would win it, right? Like at least you still got to just like stop the touchdown. Yeah, and they didn't stop the touchdown, so it's kind of their own fault in a lot of ways.
And the Rams were gassed, and Detroit knew it
completely.
And that's gonna happen. Like the Rams had a bunch of attrition, and those guys were tired. And Detroit was tired too, but they just leaned on them and ended the game. And yes, I understand everybody wants to see everybody touch the ball more often. We all want more football. But sometimes it's, hey, you want more football? Then make a stop.
God, this offense is such a pain in the ass to prepare
for. No-look handoff. Yeah, that's great stuff. I love how Tua's no-looks are handoffs. It's so funny. We say point guard all the time, right? That's such a point guard play. Oh man, look out!
They're trying to get Tyreek to the edge, man. They've been trying that all game.
I'm telling you, they're just like, look, we want him matched up on just about anybody on that team. I mean, that was AJ Epinesa was chasing him. You want that?
Paxman for $5. Fins are plus 2.5. Who y'all taking? Thanks for the worthy answer. I appreciate you being a good sport about it. I appreciate you too, Pax. As for Fins are plus 2.
They were plus 2.5 to start the game.
They were 2.5 point dogs?
No, they were 2.5 point favorites. They were favored by 2.5.
I'd probably take Bills.
Yeah, I mean,
I
told you.
What happened?
I told you Tua's going to throw the defense a couple, and he just threw him one, and they caught it.
Of course, the one time I tab off the game. All right, let me see what happened.
I'm telling you, like twice a game, Tua's going to throw you the ball, and you got to catch it.
What the hell happened? Was that a miscommunication?
Yeah, Chosen. He's not on the same page. Tua was throwing it for him to keep going, and he pulled up. That's an easy pick for Benford, but like again, he is gonna do it regardless a couple of times a game, and you can't drop him. You can't miss the tip drill. You gotta catch him. If you're gonna,
I don't know if I'd put that on him though. It just kind of feels like
no, but I mean, as a defense, when Tua throws it to you, and he did, you got to catch it. So I'm not gonna discredit the Bills because of a miscommunication. Like the other team miscommunicates, you take advantage of it, and they did. They didn't drop it. And, the classic, if he could catch it, he'd be playing on offense. No, when they throw it to you that cleanly and you're in a division game on the road, you got to catch it. They did. now they have the second free possession off an interception. They could turn this. Like this is extra points for them. So if they're able to do that, it's a nice leg up on the road. Does it mean they win the game? No. Does it mean their chances of winning the game go way up? Yeah, absolutely. So good on them for taking the opportunity and not, having their head turned around, getting hit in the back of the helmet or something, which we see a lot in the NFL. Nice job at Benford to pull that one in and give the Bills another possession.
Nathan Woolley for $20. Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate you. Nice to be back. What teams do you think have the highest variance in outcome? I think it's my Vikings. If Darnold keeps playing well, they could be a wild card team in the NFC. If not, Mason Graham would look nice in purple. I would say right now, just based on looking at the entire NFC in week 1, Minnesota looked like one of the 7 best teams. And I think it really comes down to how long is Jordan Love going to be out? Because if they can try to build just a little bit of a buffer in the NFC North, that would really help them a lot. Like the Jordan Love injury, I think is going to be massively impactful for NFC seeding. And even then, Chicago seems to be off to kind of a slow start here. The offensive line, especially the interior of the offensive line, played like absolute dog shit. So if I had to have the Vikings play the Packers right now, I might take the Vikings because Sam Darnold versus Malik Willis. Like, I know it's battle of the backups, but like I trust Sam Darnold more right now. And if I had to take Vikings against Chicago, like until they get their act together up front, not to mention like Rome is already dinged up, Keenan's already dinged up. I think I might take Minnesota right now too, if straight up. So I think the Vikings, as of week 1, are one of the 7 best NFC teams. Is it going to be the same way in October, November, December? We'll see. It's a long season, but I'm not going to say it's not possible that the JJ McCarthy-less Minnesota Vikings are not like a 6 seed in January. It's completely possible.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's a long season. One trend from week 1 that we didn't mention in this week's podcast, how many fans are, and maybe this is just a nod to how popular the draft has become, but like how many fans reached out to me and they're like, who can we draft? Like, it's week 1, man. Chill out. And they're like, no, tell me like who the best. And again, whatever their team needed, center, corner, quarterback. I was like, easy. It's like September. The kids just went back to school. Ease up. So good start to the game. Mike's calling a really nice game.
Little decided he wanted to climb on the counter.
Hi, Little. How are the boys adapting to the new environment?
Yeah, it's almost dinner time. Okay, fine. I'll give you. I came prepared. I brought their little cans with.
Oh, nice.
Prepare them well.
For those of you that don't know, the behind the scenes is that if we didn't feed the guys properly, Fatty and Little, during the podcast, we would make it about 30 minutes in before they started little fisticuffs to ensure that we would. So we would have to stop anyways. So it became part of our planning ritual this summer about like, okay, we got 2 in the can. Okay, we're going to do a third. Hey, did you feed the cats? Like, oh yeah, we got to feed the cats. Okay, cool. All right, boys, here's your food. Chill out.
Well, they don't really fight as much now because Fatty can't walk, and I think it feels bad for him. But
for sure.
But they still need to eat, or else they'll bother me. So
it's all right. They forced Josh into a little scramble there, and he was wise about it. I like to see that. Again, save those hits for later in the season. He was, I don't want to say reckless in week 1, but he was certainly enthusiastic in the red zone. Let's put it that way.
Again, Khalil Shakir agenda going strong. Love to see
it. Again, these are the holes in zone, right? This is what Weaver is playing. He played this a lot in week 1. This was primarily what you saw on the film versus the Cardinals is he's going to rush 4 or 5. And here it's 3. It's a sim pressure. And then everybody spot drops on the zone. And there are these huge holes. And yeah, I'm sure Joe Brady saw that and was like, well, we can eat against that. Like, we know what to do there.
It's cover 2 on the back end, of the pressure. And it looked like a Tampa look. And the thing is, if you don't pop a guy free on that, then you're basically just sitting there again, just guarding grass. You're not guarding anything.
Yeah.
And, if you can generate pressure and you got everybody with zone eyes, like that's how you can generate turnovers, which is the whole idea behind it. But if you don't actually get home with it, then you're kind of screwed, because then Shakir can just sit in space and you die. So,
and
it's a very
it still looks to me as the guys are dropping like they're not super comfy with it yet. They look like they're more intentioned on getting to the spot they're supposed to get to instead of doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is guarding the people in those spots.
All right. There's the first shot to the end zone, first target against. Oh, I thought that was Ramsey. No, it's Brooks.
Yeah.
Also, did not expect, if we're going to throw a 50-50 ball, I didn't think it was going to be a Curtis Samuel, but.
Yeah, look at his feet when he throws it too. He's got, is it Sealer? I think it's Sealer. Oh, no, it's the outside rusher. Maybe it's Agbo. He's got a guy, like, he basically kind of has to, like, kick his feet out and do a Josh Allen thing, which is just throw all arm, with 1 foot off the ground. Which he can do.
Right. Quarters look here on 3rd and 7. Yeah, there's really nothing there.
Yeah, looking. And again, that's what Weaver wants the defense to look like, is a good, 4-man rush that keeps its rush lanes and contain, not a lot of options. And eventually Josh has either got to, do the Superman thing, break the pocket, take another hit, or, just dirt the ball or throw it out of bounds. That's the sort of, I think, ideal for Weaver's outcome versus an alien like Josh Allen.
We talked about, in the offseason series about, the Baltimore DNA and how that might factor into it. And again, Baltimore is predominantly a zone coverage team, but they're also when I say zone coverage team, it's because they call a lot of fire zone, right? So it's zone coverage in the back end, but they typically are sending 5 guys at you.
Yeah.
We haven't seen, interestingly, we've seen more early down fire zones than passing down fire zones so far in this game. So they've had some success, getting TFLs and stops in the run game, but they seem to have been hesitant to heat up Allen in the pass game. They kind of, it seems like they want to have Jalen and the rest of the front 4 do a lot of the work, and they just don't want to get burned on the back end. The old like rally and tackle. But they're also not really getting the kind of pressure that they need to right now from 4. So curious to see if they kind of go more towards a, blitz on early downs and blitz on late downs as the game goes on. Because I don't know if they're getting it done with just 4 right now.
Yeah, there were a lot of rushes even against the Cardinals that they didn't look like they got, or not against the Cardinals, against the Jags, that it didn't look like they got what they wanted. So they started bringing predominantly linebackers and safeties. They had a couple corner blitzes, but not very many. And they started mixing them in the second half because, again, you stand for it, you give them time, you give Trevor time in that particular case, and he starts hitting some bigger shots. And they're like, well, got to change something up. And their answer was typically 5. And they were more straight than they were sim. Now, for those of you that don't know what a sim pressure is, it's when somebody's up by the line and it looks like they're going to blitz, but actually drops into coverage to be a sort of confusion piece. They didn't do a lot of that. They would just bring their 4 and add 1. And sometimes that was a backer. Sometimes that was a safety. And they brought them both off the middle and the edge. So they brought safeties through the middle, they brought linebackers through the middle, and they did both off the edge as well. So there weren't very many of those, but that was what they started to mix in the second half when they realized, hey, we've got Trevor back here and he's getting more time than we'd like. He's starting to carve up the zone in the back end because, again, we're not getting to him. The pressure part of this defense is not holding up its end. What are we going to do? It was mostly 5-man pressures. Didn't see a lot of 5, 6, or 7, like full all-out zeros. So there you go.
Also, to expand on the sim pressure thing, what makes sim pressures difficult is it's not like, yes, you are rushing 4 typically on a sim pressure. The hard part is you don't know which 4 are
which
coming.
4.
So you'll see edges drop. You'll see defensive tackles drop. You'll see linebackers come. You'll see DBs come. And that's what's difficult about it is you really don't know which four are going to be coming and which are going to be dropping out. And the fact that you can run pretty much any coverage behind them because you still have 7 guys available in coverage, means that you can get a whole bunch of wild ass looks like we saw earlier where there was Tampa 2 coverage, but it was still a simulated pressure. So it's tough. It's become a lot more in vogue in the league over the last 5 to 10 years. I would say it's typical simulated pressure rate somewhere around 17 to 20%. Some of the top teams go up to about 25% with it. And it's tough, man. It's hard to pick up. All right, Dolphins back on the field here, still in 12 personnel. They've operated predominantly out of that. Oh, man, lead blocker slipped. Still got 4, though. Humid night in Miami, by the way. It's about 76% humidity, so that field is slick. There we go. Sorry, just making sure my cat gets food. He needs to be babied at this point.
All right, baby the big
walk
guy.
Away little.
Well, yeah, because he's going to take advantage. He's got some ups on his brother right now. All right, so we saw a little Jalen Wright action there, and a little more.
He finally got his first touch.
Let's go. A little more. No, that's the second. The little 5-yard gain where the fullback slip was also right.
And we got a hole. All right, so Miami's going to have to dig themselves out of a hole here, which they were not very good at doing last year. That was the kind of issue is anytime they got a penalty, especially in the first time they played against Buffalo last year, anytime they got a penalty, it would just completely derail the drive. They were not good at digging themselves out of like 2nd and 13, 2nd and 15, 1st and 20. Like that was their predominant weakness. So let's see if they can do it now.
And look at Wright running right behind Hill. He knows.
All right, 2nd and 17. Quarters look on the back end.
Yeah, lots of plays in the playbook for 2nd and 17.
Yeah. And they got most of it back. Damn.
Again, that's the no-look handoff. There you go.
Is that Jonnu? Jonnu Smith?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I was like, wait a minute, who's 2? And by the way, David Long, really good player. Like him. Think he's excellent. What is a linebacker doing wearing 11? Typically, I'm not going to take up the number fight, but I was like, 11? Like, come on. What are we doing?
A no-look shovel.
Yep.
Diabolical.
Point guard. I'm telling you. It's all point guard stuff. See, Josh is over there getting ideas right now. He's like, well,
well, why does he get to do all the cool shit?
I bet I could do a 40-yard ref toss.
Ooh, they kind of got away with contact there. Yeah, they definitely got away with one there. Ooh, that's tough.
Is it inside 5 though?
The first one, yes. The second one, no.
Yeah.
There was a couple little bumps there. That was NASCAR in the corners. You're just running into each other.
That's right. If you're not trading paint.
From Dane, did we ever acquire the Doritos liquor, Brett? No, and I'm happy we didn't.
Sounds abysmal. It kind of reminds me of all these takes you're seeing on social media right now about the Oreos Coke. Right?
Yeah, I heard that was actually not bad.
Well, I heard it tasted like Oreos, which a lot of people said that's a good bad thing because, yes, it tastes like what you wanted it to taste like, but it's soda and it shouldn't. So it's still not good. And I was like, okay.
Eric, silly extra $2. My league was drunk. Let me have H-Chan at pick 50. Okay.
50. All right.
That might be the only league where that actually happened.
Yeah, I was going to say, we should run a little poll in the chat. Like, what's the latest you saw H-Chan drafted in a league? I think 50 might be the early leader in the clubhouse there.
Bam for $5. Maybe a silly question from last week. Is there a schematic reason for Justice Hill blocking Chris Jones one-on-one twice, or was that a genuine mistake? So I can understand why they would go full slide there based on the front that was given. But that's also what Kansas City wanted. And how I interpreted that was towards the end of the game, Kansas City knew, based on, again, we talk about Raptors testing the fence, based on the fronts that were presented to them early in the game, they were trying to see, okay, how do we get them into a full slide protection? What can we show them so they hit that panic button in their game plan where they're full sliding it? And then we're going to give that front, except we're going to put Chris Jones on the other side. Because if we can bait them into that, if we can bait them into full sliding out of panic against a certain look, which again, it's going to be dictated by the game plan or, their protection rules or whatever it is in the offense. Kansas City clearly knew what front to give them to bait that out. So they specifically so they could get Chris Jones on a running back. So it's great by Spags that he figured out their protections. It's also concerning by the Ravens that when they were executing that, or rather when they saw that front and they were full sliding it, that nobody had the presence of mind to be like, by the way,
hold on,
that's Chris Jones. So great from Kansas City, not great from Baltimore. I'm sure they're going to have that fixed because that was not the plan. Yeah. The plan was probably like, oh, if it's like Kyle Hamilton or something like that, which again, still not like Kyle Hamilton's still great, or not Kyle Hamilton, Justin Reed.
Sure.
It's one thing if like, okay, we got running back on a DB or something like that. Running back on a DT? Not so much.
Well, I'm fine with it once. Like I think you can do almost anything once. And Justice Hill, like blocked his ass off against Chris Jones in one of those. He basically dynamited himself against the front of Chris Jones. And it was somewhat effective. But you're not going to get away with that repeatedly. Like, it's fine once. It was kind of like what I was saying pregame about Jalen Ramsey, right? You can't not throw at him all game just because he's Jalen Ramsey. If you get good leverage, you've got to give it a couple of tries. The Jaguars did. They benefited twice. Again, I wouldn't do it a whole lot more than that. And again, if you want to block Chris Jones with a running back, depending on the running back, if he's going to put in a lot of effort, like you can do it once, but save it. Don't have that be the answer. Just stock, no help twice, because you're going to lose one of those times. Chris Jones is that good. But once, again, you can't just not single block Chris Jones because he's Chris Jones.
Oh, that's nasty. I hope it stands. Did you see that seam ball that Josh just threw?
Yeah. Into that very small closing triangle.
Good Lord.
Yeah. That is I believe very much in my arm, and I can make it happen.
Give me the replay on that. Come on now.
Oh, is that Poyer?
Oh, yeah, leading with the crown. Yeah, that was.
Yep, sure did.
He was trying to knock out the ball.
Yeah,
like I get it, but he missed.
He hit Shakir is short, and he squatted down to catch that, and he nailed him right in the ear hole. Yeah, Mike's like, I don't love it. I don't love it.
Yeah, if that was an Iowa game, you're getting tossed, bud.
Yeah, for sure. It's straight targeting. And, conversely, if it was Keon, like you would have hit him in the hip. So.
Great throw from Josh, though.
That is very much I'm trusting myself throw from Josh. Oh, boy. There was a little bit of this from the Dolphins on film last week versus Jacksonville, and it did worry me. Tank Bigsby had a couple of these just straight rips up the middle. And again, it's like, they miss Wilkins. Like that's where they just went, Christian, stop that. Don't let that go through. And now they don't have that guy yet. And again, if opponents are going to be able to do that, here we go. Oh man, I'm sorry.
Ray Davis time, baby.
Yeah, but if opponents can do that and rip off 7, 8, 9 yards right up the gut, like, folks, it's still football. Like, they're not going to do anything else. Simple handoffs up the middle for 7 or 8. That's a very efficient play. If you can't stop that, they're not going to stop it.
And not only that, but that was into a 5-man pressure specifically designed to stop the run, and they still got a bunch
They got
of vertical
gashed.
displacement.
Like Davis, that was easy running for Davis. He was not working real hard on that one. Okay, that's a little bit better.
But you're still seeing the theme of these early down fire zones, penetrate, try to get a TFL, set up a second and long. They're trying to make them one-dimensional.
Yep. But
Because
when
they're
you miss,
trying to take the
you
run
get
out of the
gashed.
equation.
Yeah, but if you get gashed for 7 or 8, the balance kind of tips, and it's like, okay, who's going to give up first? You're trying to stop the run, but you're giving up the not even occasional, the fairly regular long gain.
Double mug. You see, they didn't respond with a full slide. They responded with a sniffer there. So again, they're trying to test the protections, see what they're going to give them against a double mug. I think that was the first time they called double mug all game, just to see how they respond to it.
Yeah, and they got
the
Bills
do
in the
that
procedure.
So there's certain things that you can't really call if you're using a sniffer. Basically, just completely takes your running back out of the equation in the pass game. But what it also means is that if you drop out, he's blocking nothing. So,
which is quite literally what a defense wants. A defense wants at least 2 or 3 guys to stand there and block nothing. Oy. Okay, David Long.
Huge hit.
The aforementioned David Long, number 11.
Also, Khalil Shakir is just getting the shit beat out of him in this game.
Yeah.
He's getting crushed.
He's celebrating Boise State joining the Pac-12 by getting absolutely hammered. As probably a lot of Boise State students are tonight. Oh, do you see what I did there? Come on. That was good.
All right, 3rd and 12. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, they drop out.
Shout out to Texas Dragon. Good day, gents. Got a new crown after my root canal after watching alumni at Texas State and listening to you guys. I am glad that that's over for you and that you're enjoying it enough to be with us. That's pretty good. Things went well.
Also, I hope you feel better after a root canal. Those are never fun.
No, not great.
Good God. But hope you feel better. Thank you as well.
Yeah.
And thank you for spending your Thursday night with us. Hell of a throw by Josh here to lead that back inside. Good God. When Josh is running to his right, specifically running to his right, there's very few human beings on planet Earth that can do what he can do with the ball. Like,
is that Ray Davis that caught that?
26, I think it was. And
yeah, Ray Davis, very good wide receiver as a running back. Easy touchdown for Cook. Ray Davis caught a lot of passes in college, and not just the short ones. He demonstrated an ability to get out, catch the ball in patterns. So that's not a new wrinkle since he got to Buffalo. That's them, watching tape and going, "Hey, we're going to give you the chance to get down." It's a big ball for a running back to catch. That's not typical. And he also, I don't think that was drawn up, like you said. He bent it back to the inside just because Josh was rolling, and he was like, "All right, I'll go make myself some work, get to the inside, and Josh can hit me." But to be able to convert that down the field on the goal line and basically make it a walk-in for Cook, I was pretty high on Ray Davis. I know a lot of people thought he was very, very average as a running back and weren't super excited about him. He's good. He's versatile. He's tough.
Yeah, the whole Ray Davis's mid thing.
Yeah,
I didn't necessarily subscribe to that.
Yeah,
I liked Ray Davis.
There was a lot of it though. I was
know.
very excited about Ray Davis. Ray Davis was originally going to come to Shrine Bowl, and I said to you that was Big Play Ray was the first guy that I wanted to talk to on our list if he was going to be there. He didn't end up at Shrine Bowl, so we didn't get to talk to him. But I was super excited about Ray Davis very early on in the process. A lot of experience, a lot of big game experience, a lot of versatility. Again, good receiver out of the backfield, very good runner. I think gets what's blocked and a little bit more, but you don't get a nickname like Big Play Ray just doing that. And decent as a blocker as well, has enough girth to hold up against some decent pass rushers, protect the quarterback, which is the number one key to getting playing time in the NFL as a rookie running back. So I thought that's pretty much a plug and play second or third running back. That's a valuable guy in the NFL. And seemed like later in the process, I don't want to say people cooled on him, but a lot of people just came in and said, oh yeah, he's like drafting a Honda Accord, not the sport model. And I was like, I think you might be selling him a little bit short.
Chat asked to check in on the underdog pick'ems right now. So Tyreek Hill, I went lower on the 29.5 longest reception. That one's still good.
Yep.
Tua, I went higher on 32.5 pass attempts. We're a little bit behind on that one. Waddle, I went higher on 4.5 receptions. So about on pace for that.
He's
Cook
mid.
higher on 60.5 rushing. He's done everything except get rushing yards tonight. So that got to pick up the pace. Tua, I went lower on 39.5 longest completion. Still good on that. Allen higher on 11.5 longest rush. Still need that. Cook, again, killing me. Keon, killing me. Tyreek on pace. So overall, C's get degrees. We're not doing great. We're not doing bad. I'll take it.
Oh man, I haven't heard that in a bit. That's classic. I think, again, the way when you laid these out in the beginning and we said that the game was this way, right? The overall, the point spread was this way. It was 2.5 to Miami, which is basically a coin flip. They're the home team. A lot of these you're going to be waiting on, and a lot of them are going to come down to the wire. You might get them, you might not, but like all those lines pretty much being in the middle outside of Greg Rousseau, because either it's going to happen or it's not. Like I would say that is representative of the game we expected, right? 17-7, 10-point game. Bills just scored. This is going to be a back and forth affair. It's not going to be a blowout.
Also, keep in mind that these are flex picks too, so I only need 4 out of 5.
Oh,
so
well,
we're alive.
Keep that energy going. You're going to need it.
Sheldon Wong, $2. Brett, I think you missed my chat from earlier. Throw it back in. Don't throw any more money at us.
Yes.
Just put it normal. If I missed any super chats, just put them normal in the chat. Don't give us more money.
Yeah. C's in the chat don't get extra money. We just answered the question the second time.
Yeah. We don't want to make you pay twice to get one question in.
Oh man, that hoodie that McDaniel's wearing, that's solid. Like, it's great.
All right. Achane.
Woohoo. Speaking of big rips up the middle, I say both of these teams are susceptible to it.
God, he's just got such ridiculous speed.
Yeah, always did. But look at you don't even need speed. You could drive a tractor trailer through that hole. Like that hole was like 5 yards wide. There wasn't anybody even close. He just had to run. And yeah, he's fast.
Like he's put on a bit of weight too. Might have thickened up a little bit.
Yeah, I always thought he was a pretty sound physical specimen.
Because he's been short, but it just kind of feels like in the middle he's got a little bit more body armor.
Are we getting a flag there?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay. I thought, and again, last year it became in vogue not to call face masks. Like, felt like in the 10 years prior to that, like nobody ever missed a face mask, even if it was close. It was very rare. And like last year there was open season on face masks for the second half of the year, and like a bunch of them didn't get called. So, all right. What are we doing?
Oh, man. 89 again. Julian Hill. Look at this kick out. I hope they show a replay of this. Just watch 89 if they give us a replay on the kick out front side. He is just murdering people tonight.
Well, find you somebody that loves you like Miami loves a good position-specific role blocking tight end. They always have them. Like, that is, they love them. They know how to use them. They use Ingold as the fullback all the time. It is a geared attack for rushing. Nice stop. Nice stop by the Bills.
They stopped the Ingold carry on 3rd and short.
And they knew it was coming. Like, again, they knew that, just like, the tush push is coming, but less people are able to stop that. But they're keying on it. Look, they're already moving. Yeah, he's just gap. There's 3 guys there. Gap. Very sound. Again, that's good film study. They got what they were expecting. And again, Mike's smart enough. He's going to come back and he's going to fake that in 3rd quarter. He's going to get a 3rd and 1. They're going to play action fake to the up back and then do something fun.
Oh,
There you go.
to a sack, but it was not Greg Rousseau.
I was going to say, that's not tall enough to be Greg Rousseau. This Greg Rousseau is a monster. He is a tree. Ed Oliver.
All right. Dolphins are starting to get a little bit of a hole here. And
They're grinding down.
I'm not sure they have the offensive line to catch up.
Well,
as evidenced by the pressure that he's been under.
We keep saying about Mike, like, oh, he was a tester. He's gonna have to pivot now. He's gonna have to use the second answers. He's gonna have to, fake the left jab and come with that right hook, because he better have been saving him up. And if he doesn't, then the clock's gonna start to work against him a little bit, because Joe Brady and the Bills, like, they look like they've pretty much got it together. They have not looked particularly stressed on offense. Like, this is not a Josh is trying to do too much game. This is not a geez, they can't run the ball, so they're going to have to try and throw it 80 times a game. Like, they're getting their completions. Their drives are rolling pretty much like they want them to. Yeah.
The hard part, the Dolphins offense has worked tonight when, the pin and pull run game was on the table, when the misdirection was on the table, the play action pass game. Once you get the score to a point where they have to rely on like a normal drop back pass game, and you kind of take the run game out of the equation, it's tough for them, because they just don't have the offensive line at this point, or rather the offensive line depth. I felt like they had it last year. This year, not as much. And even last year it was up and down in the drop back pass game, at least. This year, I think they're too thin to just stand up there and block people, without the aid of RPOs and play action and misdirection and screen game and all that kind of stuff. Like, the last thing Miami wants to do is be a normal passing game. And so
why can't you just be normal?
They literally can't. They can't pass block well enough to do it. So I think the key for Miami to dig out of this hole is to resist the urge to lean into that. Like, truly just keep doing the stuff that was getting you yards. You threw 2 picks that arguably were not the fault of your quarterback. You gave away some extra possessions. Your defense hasn't really carried their weight in this game. But the screen game was working. The misdirection shit was working. The tap pass sweeps, play action pass, like, all that stuff was working. Resist the urge to be a team that you're not. Resist the urge to be a traditional drop back passing offense. You can't fucking do it. Not against these guys. You can't block Oliver. You can't block Rousseau. You got no shot. So I don't want them to do the same thing that Miami always does, which is panic and then get away from their identity. And then, oh God. I mean, this is great for me. James Cook is getting all the rushing yards that I need him to get. But now,
now you're in trouble. You're in big trouble.
Now they're so far behind, and I know they want to panic, do the Dolphins thing and get out of their identity. They have to resist the urge.
Yeah,
they have to resist they cannot stand up there and box. They can't do it. So,
and it's difficult. So, chat, help me out. Dolphins got the first half kickoff.
Yeah, no, it's not a good spot to be in.
I mean, 3:36 to go. We're coming up on half. Bills are getting second half kickoff. You went down in rapid fashion. Let's put it that way. Like, that susceptibility to the middle run is something they're going to have to find an answer for. They have good outside pressure. They have guys that can rush a passer, but if you cannot stand up with power offensive lines, they're going to see a bunch more of them. And I'm not going to call them a finesse team. I don't believe that's true, but like, Christian Wilkins probably makes that play in the hole, and they're not making that play this year. And they're going to have to get used to that. It's not really the kind of thing that there are players available. You can get nose tackles who can help you out in a rotation. but you can't get Christian Wilkins at this point, and you prioritize not paying him in the long term. And I'm not going to fault you for that, but you have to come up with something, even if it's in the aggregate. And Weaver's going to have to adjust because he's not there. And it's not the first time we've seen it. We saw it a bunch of times in the game last week. Again, Tank Bigsby ripped off a bunch of big runs right at the middle. And the Bills already now in the first half, not only on the scoring run, but also a bunch of first downs on the last drive where they just easily ripped off 7, 8, 9. You can't live with that. Like, you don't have to stuff every run, but you cannot give up 7, 8, 9 yards a run up the middle. Like, there's just, it's kind of like not setting the edge. If you don't set the edge, you're going to have a long day. You don't stop the middle run for, just barely under 10 yards, you're going to have a long day.
Are you guys, this is from Sheldon, by the way, are you guys worried about Bo Nix being a turnover-worthy play machine when he wasn't one at Oregon at all? I would say no, because remember, rookie in his first start in Seattle against Mike McDonald.
Yeah, and he had to push because his team was behind. So when his team got behind, he had to press.
Bro, I would rather walk on hot coals than make my first rookie start against Mike McDonald on the road. Are you kidding me? Like, Mike McDonald did that to CJ Stroud in Stroud's first start. So I'm going to give Bo Nix some grace there. Like, that's a tough assignment. I think he'll be fine in the long run. I really do.
You know what I flashed back to in that game? When we were at the Denver game, or I was at the Denver game, and Reek Woolen against Cortland Sutton in his first professional start, and he just frustrated the piss out of Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
Like, Cortland was so mad in that first start that the Rook was just smushing him, and that was before a lot of people knew who Reek Woolen was. But I was like, dude, he's really big. He's got great length. He's fast as hell. Like, he is a problem. He's going to be a tough matchup. And Cortland was very agitated in Reek's first start, and they matched up for almost all of Sunday, and everybody knows who Reek is now, and he's back a little bit. He had a tough time last year. Mike Mack loves corners like him, and he beat up Cortland all Sunday. Like, he had a good game.
Hendog says, love the use of Achane. I could just use a nice big wheel route touchdown and call it a night. Yeah, you and every other Achane owner and every Dolphins fan.
I was going to say Dolphins fans in general would be completely down with that. Damn, so Vic Fangio was not the problem. Lol. Brian Pumper for $5. Brian, appreciate that. Fangio has been in so many places. He's coached in the league for so long. He's been with so many different teams, and it's fascinating to see the pre to during to post Fangio transition in so many different spots, because there are certain things that are really predictable and certain things that, in certain places he got replaced by people who were better, but a lot of times that's not the case.
North Carolina, LH. So I know North Carolina's in there. Seattle's in there. LH. Lahaina? Maybe? I don't know. Taking a wild stab here. Hey, yeah, you guys missed my chat earlier as well. I just asked if you think Seattle's defense is legit. Well, speaking of Mike McDonald.
I did see your chat. Sorry we missed it. Yes, absolutely. And they are going to continue to force turnovers. The pressure package is going to support the coverage package, and he's got both sides playing aggressively. So the coverage players, again, you're going to see Boye Mafe start to ascend. He already did. When Nwosu comes back, it's going to be even worse. Williams, Byron Murphy wrecked shop as predicted on Sunday. And all that is going to make it very, very difficult for quarterbacks. They're not going to be able to sit back, kind of the opposite of what we're seeing with Miami. They're not generating a ton of rush. Josh is able to do what he wants to. Quarterbacks that play Seattle, either in Seattle or on the road, are not going to have a ton of time. They are going to get hit. Their lanes are going to be clogged. They are going to get pressure from places they didn't expect, and they're going to throw up some ducks. And when they do, that secondary is hyper aggressive. It's very skilled. Like, the safeties are good. The corners are good. The nickel's amazing. It's going to be a difficult road to hoe against Seattle on defense, and they are going to generate turnovers all season.
Are y'all able to put up the scoreboard in the stream so we can line up the time? Unfortunately, not this week because we're not on OBS. Next week we will be on OBS. So next week we'll be able to do that. This week we had to kind of. So again, I just finished moving. Finally, it was like a
last night
moving process. Last night at like 11 o'clock. Haven't cobbled together the whole setup yet. So we're kind of
StreamYard
like fashion. We're winging it.
Yeah, exactly. We're giving you most of what you want tonight, not all of what you want tonight.
Jedi Bobo 10, I think you missed my super chat. I asked, who would you start? Dortch, Palmer, McLaughlin, or Likely? Ooh, Dortch. I'm between Palmer and Likely.
I'm going to lean Palmer, but in a classic Colemanism, I don't feel great about it.
Same and same. Mainly because I Likely just feels like he's in for a really special year. But Palmer, at least I know, is the wide receiver one, like without a doubt there. So I'll lean Josh Palmer. Plus it's against Carolina, and they're not great, Bob. So
not great, Bob. So like I said, I felt bad for Dex at the top of the show. Dexter Lawrence, Giants nose tackle. I feel really bad for Shaq Thompson. He's playing his ass off. He's back. He was injured last year. He is the veteran leader. He is still making plays. He is fired up. He's flying around, and he's looking around like, guys, what are we doing here? It's rough. I feel bad for Shaq. He's a good player.
And Derek Brown's out for the year now too. It's just
that's another reason I feel bad for Shaq, because it's a whole lot easier to do what Shaq does if you got Derek Brown in front of you.
All right. Dolphins trying to make it a 10-point game before the half.
They're putting together a decent little drive here. This is 4-minute offense from when they started. I realize we're down under a minute, but not bad. Couple of runs to the outside, couple of what I would call straight read passing plays for Tua, 1, 2, and then get rid of it. If it's not looking good, kind of simplified.
Again, it's just about avoiding the traditional drop back game. Like just do anything but that.
Do literally anything but that. Again, they're going to be able to do that later. It's almost like what you would want to do from the start of the game, which is get the Bills to respect the run and then take some play action shots to, your speed guys. But normally you'd start that on the initial possession and not 2 minutes before half.
Interesting play design. So it's the same kind of. So the in vogue play where you have, the sift blocker that goes across and then he stops and he turns around and he's lead blocking for the reverse.
Yeah,
they did that, but it was just not a reverse. It was just with Achane.
Yeah, Barrios got mashed. Like Barrios was on a much bigger player. Like that's not what you want. Kind of like what we were talking about with Justin Hill and Chris Jones.
The thing is, the reason why people do it off of a reverse is because if the running back, like if you just imagine like the midline of the offense, right? If the running back is crossing that midline, there's gravity to it. It's going to draw the defense in. But if the linebackers are just watching the running back and they're watching the ball.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're like faking a sift block and then stopping and turning around and going the other way. They're watching the ball. They're watching the running back. That's where Achane's going. The gravity is going to pull everybody with it. So like, if you're going to do that, if you're going to do that, like just go all the way. Just call it off a reverse. Use the fear of Achane to then do it with like Tyreek or something like that. I don't know. It's a weird design to me.
Yeah. And it looked like Tua slipped with the handle when he caught it too. So that doesn't help.
Wow. All right. Where Tua run on 3rd and 11. Converting.
Right. And
common.
Yeah. And forward going out. So clock does stop. I don't know. It's a decent little drive considering the situation they're in, which is not great. If they can pull, I mean, ideally, sure, 7, but even 3 points, it's a very different feeling going into half than if they just give up the long touchdown to Kirk, to Cook, don't get anything and have to go into the locker room, at home, that would feel a lot worse. And it looks like they have a possibility to put it together here. I like it. A couple blockers on the outside. I don't love the
no
read.
timeouts though.
Yeah, but why cut that inside, Wilson?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you have no timeouts. Like, get the fuck outside.
I don't love the vision on that particular one. I like Jeff Wilson as a player, but
they had 2 timeouts? Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. I'm sorry.
You're looking at the wrong bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still don't I think there are more yards outside there because he has 2 blockers in front of him, 2 defenders, and the closest way to get hit was the guy he found. Never great when you're running back, when you can't sort of, again, help make the first guy miss, especially if you have 2 blockers to help you out. So it's dynamic play. It's bang, bang. Not going to get too in the weeds about it because they had the timeout. Yeah, it's going to feel a lot different if they get any points. If they get a touchdown here, it's going to feel much, much better. If they get a field goal, it's still going to feel a little bit better.
Down 10, I'm still not feeling great, but it's not insurmountable.
Yeah.
If they don't get anything out of this.
If they get nothing here, it's going to feel, just like it would have if they just walked off the field after the long Cook touchdown. Okay.
But now you're in a tough spot because you only have 1 timeout left, which you kind of have to
gotta go. Like, you gotta have some urgency here, but they called it. So,
they called it already?
Yeah, clock's not running.
They're not going to run a play where they can still use the middle of the field and then call it? Because now you can't use the middle of the field. You have 16 seconds left. You can't use the middle of the field.
I realize. I was like, why aren't they hustling?
At least spike it.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Get up there, gotta hustle, get up. And then I was like, oh, they don't have to hustle because the clock is stopped.
I'm not sure. Or at least have like a double call in your back
There's
pocket where it's like, hey,
things you could have done here.
If we get
I'm
a
not sure
first
this
down,
is the right one. Yeah.
If we get a first down, like, this is our call because we're not going to swap personnel groupings. We're just going to fucking go. Like, 16 seconds and you can only use 10 yards of the field. God.
Oh, Bills just called one. Did they just want to see what they were going to do? And then
I think so. I think they wanted to see how they were lined up.
Yeah, I think that's.
Or it's possible that, they got into a certain personnel grouping and realized they wanted to be in a different one,
Yeah, interesting. It's always interesting, especially early in the season. I think sort of less people pay attention to this stuff, and as playoff berths are at stake and people make weird clock decisions, lots more people sort of jump into the fray.
But if they run out of timeout and they get one or 2 less plays than they were supposed to be able to because of that, and they have to settle for 3, that's not going to feel good. That's not going to feel good.
It doesn't feel like they're maximizing. Let's put it that way.
Oh, Bills gave them free access.
Yeah.
All right. You can throw it to the end zone, but I would be very worried. So they're going to put a picket fence right on the goal line, and I think they're going to try to bait them into throwing it short of the goal line and then tackling them and then trying to do some delay tactics to make them blow it.
To burn it. Yep. All right. So at halftime, I have a very important NFL fashion question for you.
Okay.
Just remind me. I don't want to take up time right now because, another timeout. All right. Well, we got a timeout. The cord over the caps, those NFL caps like the one Josh is wearing right now, where they have the little cord across the brim.
Uh-huh.
Yes or no?
Honestly, I wasn't paying attention to it. I got to look at it.
Oh, everybody's been wearing them. Like Shanahan was wearing one the other night in the Niners game, and like they've been wearing them since preseason. But like, I'll be interested to hear your opinion on it.
Also, Mike, it's 80 degrees, 75% humidity, and you're wearing a hoodie.
He's he's all in.
He's just hotboxing himself.
That's right. We'll What are you doing? Can't you see I'm hotboxing myself?
Like he's going to lose 12 pounds
All
during the
right,
game.
we got 2x2, one back,
He's
wide
just
of the
throwing it
field.
out of bounds. Oh, she hit the security right in the calf.
Yeah. Whee! That guy was like, I thought I was clear.
The guy was like, son of a bitch.
I thought I was clear. Took a point of the ball in the ankle. He's got a bar story for the rest of his life. Why are you limping, Jake? Well, one time I wasn't clear to it. There's Josh's hat for you.
Oh, they're just kicking it. They don't even want to wait. It's third down.
Yeah. They want the execution.
They don't even want to take a shot. They're just giving up.
Yep.
You have 8 seconds. You can take a shot. If it's not there, you have time to throw it away.
Buddy, that's if you're talking about surrender index, forget the punts. Like, there it is. Like, they're
going to lose this game.
I don't love that. Like,
they're going to lose this game.
I just don't love that overall. Like, like you got enough time.
That's loser shit. That's loser shit.
In your own building, early in the season, you're pretty healthy. Like, what are you doing, man? Like,
no balls.
No balls. I do not love it. They don't trust Tua. Oh, we're always going to hear that, but like,
I don't even think it's that. I just think they don't think they have any jump ball guys.
I still like you.
I know. I still would try because you never know. You never know.
Like, we're like, he draws up so many great plays. He's such a good architect offensively. He understands. He manipulates. Like, you got nothing. You're basically on the 20-yard line. You got 8 seconds. You got all these skill players.
Not even the 20. I think they were on like the 10.
Like, you're in the red zone. You are in the red zone in your own building. You are trailing. What are you going to lose? And the answer is the game. But like, what are you going to lose if you miss? Like, so what if you throw a pick? You think Josh is going to bomb it 85 yards and hang another touchdown on you in 5 seconds? Like, it's not likely to happen. It's possible. But what does that say to your fans, to your players, to whatever else? Like, we're just field goal. We're just going to take the field goal. Like, we don't want to not have the field goal. We don't want what we were just talking about, which is walking into that locker room with the 0. I look at them. I mean, look at their faces as they walk off. Yes, you're behind in your own building. You're losing to a division rival. I understand some of that, but like, that can't sit well. Like, what's our offensive genius coach and all this money we've thrown into this high-powered offense doing if we're not even going to take a shot with 8 seconds? Like, if it was 5 seconds, I get it. Like, take the points.
8?
But 8 seems like, I don't know, man. Take a shot.
I need a film room episode on Nash, Hutmacher, and Ty Robinson, especially with all the Rams dying. I saw a stat today. I think the Rams already have 9 guys on IR.
And
we're
not
1
good.
week into the year.
Yeah, it's not good. Like, yeah, some teams, injuries are very fickle, and it's like fumbles or sacks or any other number of things. Sometimes team has a lot or has none, and then it swings wildly the other year. Some teams lose very few players to injury. One year, they're really healthy. Other teams tend to have it follow them year after year. It does not seem from early returns like this is the Rams' year in terms of staying healthy, at least not through the early season, because a bunch of those guys are on 4-week IR already. I mean, you're halfway through the early season at that point by the time they're off. So, not great, Bob.
This is an interesting question. Defenses score a lot in my league. Start Cleveland, Jacksonville, or Houston. Tackles for loss and 4th down stops equals a point. For example, Dallas D scored 46 last week.
Yeah. Dallas D had a great game.
Do I drop? So Jacksonville, Houston.
I was going to say, who are the opponents here? Because the defenses are pretty good. Like, again,
here's the thing: Jacksonville and Cleveland are playing each other.
Oh,
Out of those, I think I would go Jacksonville
yeah.
because
Because of the
Deshaun is
matchup.
so ass.
And Jacksonville showed some edge pressure. Like, I know they're down a corner, but like they played pretty decently against the Dolphins. Who's Houston? Oh, Houston's playing the Bears. So basically,
Yeah,
that's
that
a
one
bet.
worries me.
That's a bet that the Bears will continue to fumble in week 2, and just not get it going, kind of sputter offensively, which absolutely could happen. But if we're going for what we think we know is going to happen, I think Jacksonville versus Cleveland is probably a better bet. Oh. All right. Well, we're at halftime. I'm going to have everybody weigh in the chat. It's one of my favorite things to do. Put where you are watching in the world in the chat. So
Don't mind me. I'm prepping insulin for my cat.
Okay. Like you do you.
Oh, that probably looked kind of bad. When
Yeah, I was
like,
he's like, don't mind me, lubing his hands up. I'm like,
yes, chat. Where are you?
Oh, you're gonna bring the feet people out. You're gonna do it. All right. Munich, Germany. There we go. Sao Paulo. Let's hear it. Buenos Aires. Nice. Toronto. Lincoln. Nigeria. Awesome.
I'm going to go stab my cat.
Pennsylvania. Way to go, Dane. Oh, man. I love it. Toronto, Buffalo, Brighton, England. Very nice. Thank you for joining us. Lubbock, Texas, Vermont, New Haven, Reno, Liverpool. Classic. Jackson, Mississippi. California. Washingtonians, stand up. There we go. Tokyo. That's awesome. Mars. How's the reception on Mars? I don't know. Mine's breaking up a little bit. I would imagine you got some delay. Seattle. Awesome. Buffalo. I can hear them celebrating, I bet. Dublin, Ireland. Let's go. Fellow Canadians, indeed. England. South Wales. Tulsa. More Munich. Very nice. Adelaide, South Australia. Okay, let's go. Dominican Republic, Berlin. Lillooet. Somebody said Lillooet. Lillooet's a great town. Been there, enjoyed it, drank some cold beers after riding mountain bikes. Lillooet's good stuff.
Ugh,
Calgary.
Too high, EJ. 358. That's what vets call raging diabetes. So
that's
I'm trying to get it under control.
I was going to say, I'm glad it's not yours. Not happy for Fatty. Oh, New Zealand, Fort Meade. Okay. Sydney, lots of Australians in the chat. Sweden, Asgard. Oh man,
what
open
time
up
is
the
it
Rainbow
in Sweden?
Bridge?
It's like 4 a.m. in Sweden right now.
They're like we've had Tokyo, Adelaide, Munich, Nigeria, like Sweden. We're pretty much covering it here. Fort Washington, Maryland. There you go. North Dakota. Daddy's home in Miami. Sioux Falls. Safe to say we're an international bunch. Hell yeah. Southern Hemisphere as well. A bunch of folks weighing in from Brazil. Hopefully you got a chance to go, at least if you're in Buenos Aires, you got a chance to go to the Fan Fest down there. That was pretty cool. Literally worldwide indeed. We used to get stats off our first audio host when we were audio only, and they would give us consumption data based on where in the world somebody was when they listened. And I love that thing. I kept a country list. It was one of the very first things I did for Bootleg, to just kind of remind myself of reach, and kept a country list. And when I stopped keeping it, we were up to 165. That was like 2 years in. It was pretty early on in the podcast. We'd been listened to in 165 countries, which is mind blowing to me. But we've been at it. International Space Station. Yeah, well, you're kind of stuck if you've been there.
Yeah, you're gonna be there for a while.
Yeah, not great. The Bills own the Dolphins. What else is new? Not much at this point. Phoenix, Cambodia. It's 9 a.m. here. Yikes. Europe needs a bootleg watch party one day. Indeed, Lasso. We are working on it. My buddy who lives in Munich, one of my buddies, I have a couple now, who lives in Munich, asked if I was going to come to the Munich game this year. And I said, man, I would like nothing better. We do not have any plans right now. We will at some point be in Europe and do a little bit of a bootleg tour, because the fans there have been so incredibly supportive, not only of the NFL, but of us in general. And, patrons, folks in chat, super chats, draft coverage, you name it. People are like, man, I set my alarm at 4 a.m. to get up for this. What's up, boys? Drinking beers for breakfast. It's amazing. Love it, love it, love it.
All right. Give cats Fatty successfully stabbed.
Not an easy thing to do. I have not had to do insulin for cats, but I have had to give cats shots before, including ones that don't really love it. And drops for cats, I think, is even worse. The oral, eyedropper full of medicine, especially if it doesn't taste great. Cats don't love that. You can get yourself good and messed up if you've got a cat that has to have oral meds. Not fun. Portland, Oregon. Very nice. Does Brett have an actual house again? Yeah, pretty much. Townhouse has a garage, so far as I understand it. I haven't been there yet, but probably head down in a couple of weeks and check it out. But yes, as of last night, he is fully moved out of DTLA and he is back. Oh, now they're go-karting. Now I want to go go-karting.
Just making sure he's all right.
No, you got to do your thing, man.
He gets all stressed and nervous when he gets shots. So I have to, and then that makes his glucose even worse.
Well, for a second, yeah. All right, SR Bomber 22 for $5. Big fan. Love your Gem series. Has won me a couple of fantasy championships. Don't know if you guys talked about it, but thoughts on Caleb's first game. Caleb was overamped on his first start. He missed about 4, maybe 5 throws that you could just chalk up to him just being antsy. He was pumped, and he's going to settle down. Everybody's all worried. He knows he can hit those throws. He also knows he missed those throws, and his team backed him up, right? The defense and special teams won that game. He got showed in his very first start that he does not have to do it all, that if he just settles down, distributes the ball to the offense in the beginning as he learns as rookie, that will be enough to keep them competitive, which is a really good lesson. Because if he played like that and they got blown out, he would feel even more pressure in start 2 to press and make those big plays and probably have more overthrows. I think this is, I don't want to say best case, because they're playing the Texans. The Texans are a very good team, but you're not going to see that stuff's going to get metered out of his game pretty darn quickly. We know he's more skilled than that. He was just jazzed and he just flat out gunned it over a couple guys' heads. And, it was better than it looked in stats. And I think it's pretty well explainable. It's when somebody has totally unconscionable decisions or really bad interceptions, or just throws it, 5 yards to open space, and you're like, what was that? How badly did you miss that read? There wasn't a lot of that. There was just a lot of, the guy was open, you had him, and you just freaking gunned it. Chill out, you'll be fine.
That's the thing. If you think Caleb Williams is gonna, be bad or anything like that, it's basically ignoring the fact that this is a guy who for 3 years straight hit every single hole shot gets covered too. And then in his first NFL game, missed 2 of them that he wants back. But he's going to be fine. That was not a thing that showed up on tape repeatedly in college. He's not somebody who's going to miss those very often. So I don't know. I'm optimistic.
King Emmanuel, the GTA apartment is gone.
The GTA apartment.
Oh my God.
Which, speaking of GTA apartment, it was basically GTA outside.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with that particular area of downtown.
Yeah.
If you're on the Citizen app in Southern California, scroll on over to downtown LA and see what's going on over there right now. I couldn't stop. Honestly, the hard part is when police helicopters are fucking buzzing the apartment every 3 minutes. I'm just I need to sleep. I remember I was editing one night. It was 2 a.m. and I was editing. Now that we're moved, I can say I was in the corner of 8th and Olive, right in the middle of downtown LA. Yeah. And it was 2 a.m. and I was editing, and my desk was facing out the window, facing towards Grand. And I see this car just tearing ass down the street, and it's downtown LA, so there's nothing on the street in the middle of the night. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it's somebody who just like wants to make noise and feel alive. And then I see cop, 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 and then police helicopter like between the buildings, like bombing it after this guy. And I'm like, oh, it's a high-speed chase through downtown. Like, okay, yeah, I see that all the time, like literally all the time. And then 5 minutes later, I hear him coming back, and he's coming back up the street. And then there was a big, like he like T-boned somebody in the intersection right outside of our apartment, hopped out, ran into the parking structure that was like catty corner across from our complex. And so there was 3 police helicopters just sitting there for hours. And it was so loud. And the lights, they were just like, I'm going to shine it on all these buildings for the rest of the night.
Dude,
my wife was on like crazy amounts of melatonin, so she slept right through it. I didn't sleep at all. And that was a regular occurrence. So I was happy to go somewhere a little bit quieter.
Dude had 4 stars. Nice, Jaden. I appreciate it.
It was like it was literally a GTA apartment in a lot of ways.
We should tell him the joke. So we would obviously set up lights like we have here. In fact, these very lights have been set up in Brett's old apartment, and we would, when we do the night shoots for the previous series, we would, turn the lights on, put the Underdog sign in the back and whatever. And we had a joke because I swear to God, not 5 minutes after we would start recording, sirens, right? It was usually aid cars and fire trucks. And our joke was they saw us turn the lights on. Like lights are on, they're gonna go for a run. Like we shouldn't have turned the lights on. And that happened so many times that we made that joke over and over again over the course of a couple of years. Is we just sit there and wait till the sirens pass and then get some clean audio.
The fact that Elijah knows what goes on in Olive.
Yeah.
Like,
did the fighter jets come out? Yeah, the fighter jets did come out. They came out
actually.
Often.
Yes, the Air Force did pay us a visit several times while
fighter jets, Blackhawks, Ospreys. Yep. Chinooks. We had Chinooks along with the police helicopter. Yeah, we had pretty much everything down there. So shout out to the old apartment. Salute.
Shout out to the rest of the Malort League.
Ooh,
I fucking hate you guys.
I love / hate you guys. Yeah. Ooh, quick. Ozzy Berry, quick.
I've been drinking enough wine.
Maybe not.
It's not as bad as the first one, but I do not enjoy it.
I do so regret the idea that I am in a Malort League. All right, Bills starting off. If they score here, they're going to make it very, very difficult for Miami. Oh, great move from Kincaid. You got to get that guy more involved. I mean, it's not Randy Rules level, but he is clearly one of your best offensive players. You need to make sure that that he has regular touches schemed into the offense. Doesn't have to be Randy Rules level. For those of you not familiar, maybe you're a little bit younger, a newer NFL fan, Randy Moss, who was with the Vikings, had what was called the Randy Rules. And it was basically a stipulation by his head coach at the time that he was going to get 10 to 12 touches a game, period, no matter what, no matter who doubled him. Not what I'm advocating for Dalton Kincaid, but a watered down version of that where you're making sure that he gets a couple of touches per quarter I just don't think it's a good idea for Buffalo's offense to not get the ball regularly into Dalton Kincaid's hands because he's going to produce. He did in college. He did his rookie. It's going to happen. So
James Cook running hard.
Yeah, there was some violence on the inside there in terms of the offensive defensive line interaction. Some guys getting just taken for rides.
Oh, I thought Samuel was going to break that one. Carter said, Brett, just want to make sure I'm not going crazy. You used to be in a house with a fireplace before the GTA crib, right? Yes, I was.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And I sold it because that house, we just kept getting evacuated from wildfires. And ironically, there's like another wildfire around there right now.
Well, I saw those pictures and I almost made a crack about it, but I wouldn't not do that because a lot of people obviously are having very, very bad nights because of it tonight. So
there's 3 fires going on right now. And we did not want to go through that again because we had to go through it like almost every year. Fire season's like no joke in SoCal, and it's just so dry and so hot right now. So we got out of there while we could. Sold it about a year and a half ago. And we're going to buy another house eventually, probably when the market isn't insane.
Eventually, probably, maybe.
If we can, go into the couch cushions and find enough money to buy back into the market, but we will not do so in fire territory for round 2. That's for sure.
Yeah. Having lived in flood territory in the house that we lived in before we bought this one, still my wife's favorite thing every time when we drive up the hill to the house. She's like, I love the up part where we are not in the floodplain. That is my favorite part.
All right. Let's see what Weaves has for Buffalo here. They have to get this stop. They really do.
Yeah, I hate saying must win early in the season. I hate saying must stop before the end, but like if
they kind of have to.
If Buffalo rolls to another touchdown here, your options shrink noticeably as Miami. There's not what you can do to potentially win this game gets pretty thin.
Because especially with how Buffalo's running the ball, like they're just going to lean on them, you know? So,
and they've proven that they can. And again, Miami hasn't been able to stop that. So your problems are compounding here. So this is what happens in a football game is everybody, takes punch, counter punch in the first quarter, sees what happens, sees what you can do. So you turn the wrong way.
Really, really well-designed sim pressure there. They showed 6, they brought 4, and they had a 3-man twist where they got Chop inside. Let's get our best athlete to be the one that flushes him because Josh can't run away.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man. If Josh let that inside, he might have had it. There's no way he was going to get – he wasn't going to get out there, but if Josh left it in, possible.
That's just a little bit of
good call defensively, though. Really good call.
Great call defensively and great call. They didn't hit it this time, but they're probably going to hit it down the road. It wasn't that far off for Buffalo to beat it, right? It was a good pressure. They got to him. They flushed him, and he almost still made the play deep down the field. That would have been just as backbreaking, but good job by Weaver to scheme up some pressure. We talked about that in the first half, that his straight rushes of 4 were not going to get it done. Certainly as you're down, you've got to take some more risks. As I was saying, after you have those sort of punch counter punch in the first quarter, realize what you're able to do against the team, what you're not on that particular day. Then, it's kind of like arm wrestling. One team starts to kind of lean on the other team and say, I can do more things than you can. Can you stop it? And as you start to get down, you have that little angle left. That's all you can do. And Miami's getting pretty close to that. So Weaver with a good job to sort of widen that gap, get a little real estate back in the arm wrestling match. We'll see what happens from here.
Somebody asks, hey, Brett, how does Shanahan number his runs and what numbers mean, what, et cetera? Would appreciate an answer. So 18, 19 is like their numbers for wide zone, right? 14, 15 is their number for, I think it's mid zone. I don't know. He and Shanahan, they kind of call it. I mean, it's the same run, but they call it different things. Seems like everybody has their own kind of interpretation of what's mid zone, what's outside zone, what's wide zone, where's it hit, what's the track, yada, yada, yada. But still 18, 19 hits wider than 14, 15, right? Even number. So even number and odd number denotes the direction that it's going, right? So like an even number, like 14 is going to the right. An odd number, like 15 is going to the left. And so when they say that number in the huddle, that tells the offense like what direction of the run or what direction the run is going. And then obviously of the formation, formation will be left, right, whether it's like, I'm trying to come up with an example off the top of my head, like north or east or west, right? If we want to go like old school West Coast terminology. And so you get formation and then number, and then you'll have like sift is like an adjustment word you'll have on there, which like will denote like a sift block from, say, like a tight end that's off the line of scrimmage who comes across to like kick out the backside end. But the numbering system basically just, it tells you the hole that the run is going to, and it tells you the direction that the run is going to, is the easiest way I can explain it without doing like a full video on decades old West Coast run terminology. Wide zone and outside zone aren't the same. It depends on who you ask. Like, so there's tight zone, inside zone, mid zone, outside zone, and wide zone. And sometimes guys have different, like sometimes guys not assign. So like wide zone, like they might say like, oh, that's going to be hitting outside of the tight end or outside of a ghost tight end, whereas outside zone might be hitting off the outside hip of the tackle, right? So it's like a slightly different track, versus inside zone might be a B gap run versus tight zone might be an A gap run. So some guys like have it where, almost like A gap, B gap, C gap, D gap, and it's tight zone, inside zone, outside zone, wide zone. Some guys just call it outside zone, and that's just everything tackle and out, right? And then inside zone is everything in. It just depends on the coach you talk to and whether or not they want to be hyper specific with it.
So a couple updates. Terrell Bernard is out with a pec. So Balin Spector's in there.
Do they have any linebackers left?
Yeah. I saw Spector in there on a regular defensive down, and I was like, wait, what? And right after that, they put up the little Kyra.
Yeah, he's a special teams guy for them.
Yeah. So I know they like him, but pressed into service, next man up. That's how the NFL goes. Miami's trying the run game here, and it's not the exotic run game, and it doesn't look great. It doesn't look bad. They got a nice gain when they got the corner to slip on a swing screen, which is, again, essentially what we said at the top, an extension of the run game for Mike Mack. But the runs, inside off tackle, like Buffalo's bucking up on those, and you're just grinding up minutes, and Miami's not scoring points, and that works pretty well for Buffalo. So
key third down here. Like, we're 6 minutes into the third already. You're struggling to stop the run.
Yeah, you got to see something from Waddle and Hill. You're paying those guys too much money not to make plays in situations like this.
Did they just get away with a false start there? They might have. Oh, man. Oh, look God. Out.
Oh,
that's shit. Oh, no.
Threw you, and they caught them both. I'm not counting the first one. No, I'm not counting the first one because he didn't really throw it to him. Like, that bounced off his receiver. I'm not going to put that on the quarterback because literally he put it right on the wide receiver, but he threw them too. I told you. Tua's going to throw the defense too, and you got to catch them. He threw them too. They caught them both. Like, that's a pick six, which is obviously the worst. Tua's got to know better. Like, he's under a lot of pressure, but he cannot put that ball up.
Well, this is not going to help him beat the lack of arm strength allegations because he was trying to throw it out of bounds.
Well, he's fading backwards with guy in his chest. Yeah.
I get it. But, there are quarterbacks in the NFL that would get that out of bounds. And it's
absolutely.
Arm strength is not his game. We know that.
Yeah, but you can't put it up. Like, you just can't put that ball up. If you're not 100% sure that you can't put it in row 10, not row 1, you can't put that ball up. Like, take the sack, punt it away, live to fight another day. That's how that should work. And instead, you get this. I realize it's 3rd and 11. I realize it's late in the game. I realize you want points, but now you got to get more points. You put yourself farther in the hole. He's not a spring chicken as a quarterback. That's not a great quarterbacking decision for the situation, regardless of arm strength or anything else. Just take the sack. Don't fumble. Just take the sack. It's bad. It sets you back. Let your punter go. Come back and try and get it back, because now you're another touchdown behind and it looks even worse. Like, it's just not great. All right. With that, I'm going to go get another beer because, we're going to be talking about things besides
Yeah,
football here pretty
we're
quickly.
entering vamp territory, folks.
100%. And this one's empty. So I'm going to go get another sea pine.
Oh
Can I
man.
get anybody anything? Just kidding. I'm not mailing stuff. Yeah. Good old
Yeah,
alcohol
you really don't
tobacco.
want to give this crowd your return address, EJ.
Nope.
You'll get like 100 bottles of malort. sent
Yeah,
your way.
right. Like I used to have garage space. Now I have malort. No, not cool. All right. Be right back.
All right, let me see if I can catch up on some of these super chats here, because I know we missed some. Jonathan Boyle for $10. Brett, is there any QB you like more than Hackenberg in this draft? Are we talking like how I felt about Hackenberg coming out of Penn State, or what we know Hackenberg is today? No, I like Cam Ward a lot. I don't know if he's going to end up as my QB1 because I haven't done enough work on these guys, but I like Cam Ward a lot. I saw when me and EJ were at Elite 11, I saw Klubnik throw there and was thoroughly unimpressed. I don't even think he's going to make a roster. Dylan Gabriel threw it really well, but he is tiny, like just tiny, like as much shit as people give Bryce Young for his size. Like Dylan Gabriel might be smaller. He is small, so I'm not a big Dylan Gabriel guy. Carson Beck, I got to see more. I'm still trying to figure him out. I want to see like the special. I think he can operate an offense. I think he's on time. I think he's accurate. I want to see like the special from him. Who else is in this class? I still got to watch more of the Texas A&M kid. Week 1 was obviously super rough for him. Riley Leonard, I'm out on. I don't think he's an NFL starter. Who else is in this quarterback class? It's not like a particularly amazing group. I like Miller Moss a lot. I like Nussmeier from LSU. Ironically, those two might end up being the best, and they were the ones that kind of came out of nowhere.
Always happens.
Who else is in this class? But yeah, I don't know. Cam Ward might end up being QB1, folks. Like I'm not ruling that out. He almost came to Shrine last year too until he recommitted back to Miami.
Yeah, he was on the list. So I'm excited because not only do I get to try a new beer, I get to try a new brewery. This is from Western Red Brewing in Paulsbo, Washington, and it is their mainline red ale. So shout out to them.
I love red ales.
Yeah, me too. They're harder and harder to find. Oh, speaking of, guess what I found on my beer run yesterday? It's something near and dear to your heart in the beer world.
Red Trolley?
I wish. No, I have not found a local source for Red Trolley yet. No, what's your other favorite?
Cali Creamin'?
That's right.
There we go. The best cream ale on the planet.
Yeah. So there's some of that in the fridge as well. That'll be for a future TNF game if it lasts that long.
The way this game's going, you might have to get blasted to get through it. So
good
time to bust it out.
I think we'll make it through this one. We got a quarter and a half. We'll be fine. We've done far longer stretches, Coleman, of worse football. Let's put it that way.
That's true. We did that Broncos Colts game one time that made me almost reconsider my career.
Yeah, don't remind me. That one was rough. But God, this has been picture perfect for the Bills. Like from the first bad bounce, like hits the shoulder pad, bounces, they catch it. Like that's a good break, but that's not again, it's early in the game. That's not make or break. That doesn't guarantee you're winning the game. None of that. Like they've been able to run the ball. They've, for the most part, been able to stop the run. They've had a little bit of trouble through the middle. They've got pressure. They've hit Tua. They've caught the balls he's thrown them. They've scored on offense. They haven't had like big passing plays, but again, Josh hasn't played stupid hero ball. Ooh, there's a big one for Miami.
That might have gotten my Jalen Waddle over. Oh no, I said higher than 4.5. That just got him to 4.
So. Okay. Well, you got time. Like again, we're not at the end here. You got time.
Chief O'Reilly for $5. This might be Allen's worst stat line versus the Dolphins since they just don't need him to make plays right now. And to be honest, that's what they want. They don't want Allen to have to make plays.
100%.
They want to be able to go to him 4 to 5 times a game to get them out of a jam and the rest of the game is defense, James Cook, yards after catch. Like, they want to be
Little
the Chiefs.
shots. Little shots to Dalton Kincaid on
Yes,
choice routes. Oh, did he get that?
he might have. But we
Nah,
spent all
it's
summer
good enough.
talking about how the Bills are trying to be the Chiefs. This
Yeah.
is what a Chiefs game looked like last year. Well, with less points for the Chiefs. But, like, this, when they got their shit together, this is what it looked like for the Chiefs.
All right, let's see. When's he get this?
Toe is out. The lead toe is out.
Oh, yeah. Tank Ninja 1, Vaughn almost got a sack. Yes, he did. That was a snappy spin move from Von Miller. That was impressive. I caught that as well. So thanks for bringing it up.
Just to catch people up on where we're at on our underdog entries for this, I'm still waiting for my Greg Rousseau sack. Tyreek, we're in good shape. Tua, maybe they're so far down. I might actually get higher on his pass attempts there. Waddle, we need one more. Cook, we hit. So this one we're looking pretty good. Again, it's a flex entry, so we'll win decent chunk of change on that one. Pay for the night.
Jalen Wright getting some more snaps. That's pretty cool.
Tua, we're in good shape. Allen, I don't know if we're going to get that one. Cook, we're in good shape. Keon, we're toast. And then Tyreek, we're in good shape. So, we'll probably end up going 1 for 2 tonight and make a profit. So I'm all right with it.
Tough to go broke making a profit. Uh-oh. Bill's got a tackle. Don't get sloppy at this point, guys. You got this game in hand. Do not let playmakers go, because all of the playmakers on Miami can go.
I've been offered a trade, half PPR league. I have Jordan Mason, and the CMC owner offered me Khalil Shakir for him. What do we think? In most other circumstances, I would say take Shakir, but Achilles tendonitis?
Don't love it.
Kind of scares me. I think I just hold on to Jordan Mason and just stack up victories. Like, unless your receiver situation is like really shitty.
Dire, yeah. Oh!
What happened?
Just, man, fingertips. Would have had a touchdown. Tua down the middle. Little bend route to the tight end. This is Hill. He's been blocking his ass off all night. Now they ask him to go catch one. And
bounced right off his hands.
And Hamlin almost got the pick. That would have been the worst. I mean, Hill tipped it right to him. He didn't mean to, but he really extended.
I don't know if I'd 100% put that on the receiver, because
no, and it's not
fully
Hill's
went
game.
out to get it.
Yeah, and it's not Hill's game. Like, you can't. If your game plan going into this is Miami is to have Hill make a bunch of acrobatic touchdown catches for you, you're probably in the wrong place anyways. So
yeah. All right, 3rd down. This is about as gotta have it as it possibly gets.
Yeah, but I like the fight from the Dolphins here. They're not laying down. Like, they, coming back from a pick 6, you're down 21 points. You don't have a lot of third quarter left. They have every right to come out and look lifeless, and they've done everything but. So that's impressive to me. Ooh, terrible play call. What are you doing?
That's your 3rd and 3 call when you're not getting any push up front.
Okay, this is combine this with the field goal from the end of the first half, the choice to take a field goal with 8 seconds left. It's 2 choices in the red zone now in what I would say high pressure, high leverage. What do you want to call it? High leverage situations where you could really turn the game.
You don't put the game in the hands of Kendall Lamb.
Well, guess what? They're not going to go for the surrender next field goal here, which I'm glad about. Okay, he's going to pick it up.
But now Tua's...
And he led with his head.
Fuck!
Wow.
God damn it. God damn it.
Mike is...
Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, dude, that's going to be Skylar Thompson time. That is not... He's not going to... He's not going to pop up from that.
God. He was out. He was out when he hit the ground.
If we're talking about things that teams, and I mean all teams, not these two teams, like all teams in the NFL cannot afford, like this is the one.
This
like
is at
Miami,
least the third bad one.
No, but I Miami cannot afford this. Like as Miami is built right now, I like Skyler. We interviewed him. He's a good dude. He has developed as a player. Like you're not running the same offense with Skyler, and you have a lot invested in this offense. And it is a tough game. It is a game where people get injured. It is a game where weird stuff happens. If you are Tua and you're playing situational football, which you are, you're a competitor. You are a tough son of a gun. You need that first down. I get it, but you can't do that. You just, with your history, you can't do it. And he did it, and it happened, which is terribly unfortunate. Like, I'm not blaming the defender. Defender just kind of caught him with his shoulder. Like he wasn't trying to hurt anybody.
No, it's just, but that's the thing is when you've had as many major concussions as him, a routine tackle like that can do incredible damage.
You can't run head first. Like
you can't.
Just can't.
You can't.
Other quarterbacks, this is a weird little soapbox to bring up, hill to die on. I actually think many quarterbacks are safer going head first. Like it's just a more natural motion for them. They have vision as they go down. They keep themselves out. Like
Josh, you'd rather him go head first than like take one to the knee, right?
I honestly, I know they want Jaden Daniels to go feet first, but he looks more comfortable to me diving than he does sliding. And he tried some really weird slides last week and ended up doing like little sonic barrel rolls, which I don't think is good for anybody. Like there's no good way to impact him at that particular point. If you're Tua, you cannot do that.
He's wobbly.
Yeah. He just got his head folded to the side, man. Like that is not great. And it's like in the grand scheme of things, forget this game, forget this year. Like this is not affordable from Miami's perspective, from Tua's perspective, as a person, as a healthy person, as a player. Like this is what you cannot afford all the way around. The team, the person, the franchise, like this is not it. And like I hate it so much.
And this is also the exact reason where I was so pro Tua during, his contract situation. Because I was like, he's one hit away.
Yeah.
Like he needs to get his money. He needs to get paid right now because he's one hit away.
Well, best thoughts to him. I don't think there's a tremendously good outcome. The guy on the field, Skylar Thompson, again, we got to talk to him at Shrine Bowl. He was a quarterback there. He had I would say, a really competitive college career, and that just sort of formed him into the player he is. He is athletic. He is not a statue. He can run. And he has done better and better in terms of learning the Miami system, being more fully featured. And I think Mike trusting him to open more of the playbook to say, no, you can operate more of this for me. So it's not like Miami's got no chance, but he's not the starter for a reason. And in a game where you're down 21 points to your rival at home, it's not a great position to come into as a backup. If Skyler's he's going to ball as hard as he can, because every backup quarterback is going to take that chance. When it's given to them, this is just not great for everybody all the way around.
Yeah. Oh, I see the chord you're talking about now.
Yeah. I don't love it.
I'm not sure I love it either. Not gonna lie. Not sure I love it either.
I don't love it. It reminds me of like bad like 70s Caddyshack golf hats.
You know, which maybe that's what they were going for.
Totally possible. A little bit of a retro vibe. Not my favorite retro trend to bring back. Some things should stay retired.
Yeah.
Skylar missed on the corner route there. Again, you don't have the same level of communication. He's been playing with most of the second team guys. He doesn't have a ton of reps through camp with the first team guys. Some, and he's been on the team for a couple of years, so he knows them. But coming in cold off the bench and hitting things like corner fades is tough to do.
All right. Oh man, and now we got a penalty.
Yeah,
oh no, timeout. Sorry.
And that's the other thing is like, if you're Skylar Thompson, you're coming to this game, your team's down, you know what's going on. And by the way, oh yeah, Von Miller and Greg Rousseau are across the line from you, and Ed Oliver. Good luck. Like, have at it. Cold off the bench. Let's go. See if you can will your team to a touchdown. He's going to take the challenge because that's the job of a backup quarterback. But pretty stacked deck.
Tank Ninja says field looks slippery out there. It is really humid.
Yeah,
and we saw a similar kind of thing in Sao Paulo. It was super humid night in Sao Paulo as well, and that can cause slippage issues, to say the least.
Also rained earlier today,
and it rained earlier today.
Yeah, so our buddy in Miami said it rained earlier, and that just made that post-rain Miami humidity flare up even worse. Plus, there's water in the field and humidity on the field. There's going to be some traction issues. Yeah.
And guys are hesitant. Oh, and there's another sack. Is that Vaughn? Yeah.
Yep, that's Vaughn. 100%. He's been hunting for one tonight. He's been close a couple times.
Yeah. Well, last year, I think he was still kind of.
Oh, he absolutely
fighting through that injury last year.
He was a shell of himself. They tried to save him, bring him back late. He wasn't even there. And I just realized that it was DeMar Hamlin that he hit.
I thought about bringing it up, and I was like,
nah. I mean, it's just the universe being cruel at that point. That's what that is. Oh, man. Yeah, don't love it. Dolphins at this point don't get the points. Don't get the touchdown. Take the sack. You're down your starting quarterback. You're running out of time. I'm not sure what other negative. I don't even want to throw any other negatives with them. That's plenty. That's a tough way to win a football game.
Interesting. They've been having fires in Sao Paulo. Isn't it winter time there? Do you guys get fires in the winter in Sao Paulo? That's interesting.
Yeah. Well,
that was not the bingo card.
Yeah.
So how good is Arizona? Arizona's offense has the potential to be good.
Just Arizona's so everybody knows,
is not good.
our preview pod, which sort of takes lots of learnings from week 1 and talks about the rest of week 2, comes out tomorrow morning. You will hear us talk about Arizona in that pod, along with many other teams. But we both have some conclusions based on what we saw again from Arizona against the Bills in week 1. And where they might be going and the things they need to work on. And they have more than some. Again, I like the word potential. We both believe that parts are there for their offense to be quite effective. It was not quite effective. A lot of that ran through Kyler and goes on Kyler's shoulders. The defense needs pass rush like you and I need oxygen. Man, that defense needs pass rush bad.
Michael Horn for $10. Hate to ask, but if Tua pulled a Luke Kuechly and retired, would Miami have to do a tear down rebuild or just try and retool? That is tear down rebuild. Like how are you going to get a quarterback?
Well, you can't.
You have an older Tyreek, right?
Yeah, the problem is it's built.
Got paid.
It's built for Tua. Like, it's not built for a quarterback. It's built for Tua, and other teams, I think, are more adaptable. Now, can you find people with Tua's skill set? Sure, you can. But your pool is already small of potential available starting NFL quarterbacks. And when you say, I have to have them do this, be this, right? You can't take a wildly different skill set, import it to Miami, and just say, we'll adjust everything else around it. No, everything else is built around that. And they need certain things from the quarterback position. And that means their pool of candidates is even smaller. So it's either a sniper shot that gets them exactly what they need in terms of, or 80% of what they need from the quarterback position as they're built now, or it's a significant retooling.
I think they would have to jettison everything except Javon Holland, Jalen Phillips, and Jalen Waddle. Because Teron Armstead is up there and not exactly a beacon of health himself. I love Teron Armstead, but even he would agree with that. Tyreek is starting to get up there in terms of age. And you got to keep Achane too. Is young and explosive and cheap.
Sure.
But Mostert gone, Wilson gone.
Well, it's not like Wilson's super expensive, and they run those.
I'm just saying, like getting
older.
younger.
Yeah, you might get younger, but I mean, I'm with you. The high dollar talent that's not gonna do anything in the next year or two. Like, if their contract's up in the next year or two, your window goes semi-closed for a bit, because you can't just photocopy Tua. Like, I know a lot of people love to, trust me, I read the comments. I know a lot of people love to shovel dirt on Tua, and have since he was drafted. But he is a very effective quarterback. He basically led the NFL in passing last year. So you're not going to find another one just laying around that you can plug in.
San Francisco got lucky that they stumbled on Brock Purdy.
For sure.
Brock Purdy ain't walking through that door in Miami. So yeah, I think it would be a teardown situation. If Tua retires, would you trade for Kirk from Atlanta for a first-round pick? No. Honestly, no.
I would try and trade for Penix. Like, Penix with these receivers would be great, but they're not going to do it. Yeah, they're not going to do it. That's their future. They just spent an eighth overall pick on him.
If this ends up being a long-term thing for Tua, I think they give Ryan Tannehill a call.
Probably.
Just to try to salvage the season.
Yeah, and there are a few other quarterbacks out there. It would anger other teams, but that you have to sort of weigh that into your approach. There's a chance that a team leaves a quarterback that you think could be effective on the practice squad. You could sign him to the active. You would have the spot to do it. And it would be low priced. And that would be a guy like Tyler Huntley or somebody that if a team leaves him on the practice squad, like, you could snipe him and put him on the active squad, and he would back up Skylar Thompson until he was ready, because Skylar knows the offense inside and out at this point, which is great. But you would be hoping he has a few more skills that maybe could lift you. But again, you're not saving everybody in that circumstance. You're still at the trade deadline having a bit of fire sale on the older talent, and just acknowledging it's going to take us at least a year to get back, if not a year and a half. So all these guys with expiring contracts in the next year or two, you take them. Maybe they can contribute to your run. You're in a different spot. We'll take the money or the picks or both, and try and go back to the well and figure it out.
This is interesting.
DTR
trade.
Well, that'll be really interesting.
Not going to give up Jameis. Cleveland's not going to give up Jameis because they need him in case they have to get off to Sean.
Well, right, but they're not going to give up DTR for the same reason. Because if they have to get off, DTR becomes their number 2, where Jameis is right now. If Deshaun is moved out of the picture for any particular reason, they're not going to give up DTR. I mean, unless you're going to give them, you're going to have to give them something stupid. It's not going to be worth it.
Well, yeah, you probably have to give up like a third.
I don't,
Ooh,
we love
what do you think
DTR.
it would take to pry Devin Leary away from Baltimore?
Not much. I
Just
think
taking a shot.
I think they'd keep Snoop before they do that. And Leary's skill set I actually kind of like as a Tua type. Now, he's not the same, but he does have some similarities, and he might be available. He could be left unprotected on the practice squad. You could get him that way.
Because
Like,
he's not on the active roster.
I don't hate it. Like, there are a lot worse answers floating around.
Tyson Bagent.
You know,
good luck getting Chicago to give up Tyson Bagent.
The Bears like him, and he has progressed. I'd be okay with that, but I have a lot of faith in Austin Reed. Again, Austin Reed is not there yet, and I think Chicago is going to worry pretty significantly about that gap. If Caleb turns an ankle, are you willing to turn your team that you've invested quite a bit of money on over to Austin Reed and expect what you would expect from any backup quarterback, which is a little bit more than 50% wins? I think that's a little bit rich right now for where Austin is. Give him a year or two, kind of like Skylar. I think at that point, maybe polls would consider it, but right now, Bajan is their answer at QB2.
Bringing up Brock brings up a good question. If Shanahan and Lynch didn't get lucky on Brock, would they both be out of a job? I think it's a fair question because without Brock, they don't make the NFC Championship game.
It's pretty likely, actually.
The playoffs that year.
Yeah. No.
It's very possible that they go 2 straight years of not making the playoffs. And if you spend 3 first-round picks on a bad quarterback and you miss the playoffs 2 years in a row, you probably get fired. So
yeah. It's definitely within the realm of possibility. They would basically have to take sort of one of those owner exemptions where they go, yeah, but you're Kyle Shanahan, so I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but it's not on the strength of anything else at that point if Brock doesn't become Brock, because it was a boondoggle. You gave up a lot of assets for something that was a complete zero. Like that's how you usually get fired as a GM.
And you know what would have happened? He would have gotten fired. And then he would have gone to Chicago with Caleb Williams. And the world would have been a good place.
Maybe. I stopped. The
what if
game. No, the what if game is very, very difficult. Because boy, oh boy, the what if game gets really dicey really quick.
Especially for the Chicago Bears, because there's so many what ifs.
Yeah.
What if the wind gusted at just the right time against Philly?
Doink, no doink.
It's very possible that Mitch Trubisky could have been a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
I'm aware of this. Joe Milton
still would be there.
Third. Joe Milton with Tyreek Hill would be fun. Yeah, it'd be fun for a couple of weeks. I don't know that'd be as fun as you think as a starter. Like the potential's there, but
Joe Milton could throw it far enough for Tyreek. The question is it still going to be in the stadium?
I don't know. It would be exciting, but I don't know that would be exciting in the good way.
No.
What if Rex Grossman wasn't bad? Rex Grossman wasn't always bad. There was some good Rex, but it wasn't a lot.
It did make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I love that. It did make the Super Bowl. Skylar, get that ball out. All right, there you go. Rely on your playmakers. You got a lot of them. And that's really the step down here, is that when Skylar's out there, it's yes, go through your progressions and whatever else, but rely on your playmakers. You're not the guy. You're the guy to distribute the ball. It's very clear. Like, we are not expecting you to be a big time playmaker. That's not his role. So he's got to do that well. He's got to do that as well as he can. And he can make some big time plays. Like, he can make some plays with his legs, pick up some key third downs, but this is the definition of an uphill battle at this point.
2 seconds for Davis Mills. I mean, you could talk me into a fifth for Davis Mills. That's about it. Eli Harrell for $5. Is Becker Ewers in play for the Dolphins? I don't see them winning a lot. I don't think so. It would literally take a Tua retirement, which I'm not going to say is going to happen. Like, we don't know. We don't know how bad this is. But they would not consider taking a quarterback unless that happens. So I would not say.
That would need to happen. And I don't know that we're going to have that kind of clarity anytime soon. Head injuries are not a straightforward path. What if Cutler worked for the Bears? Cutler worked for the Bears 50% of the time, almost exactly 50% of the time. So you already have the answer to that question.
Every time.
That's right. The Cutler Panther. Oh man.
Jimmy comes off suspension in 2 weeks. It's time for a Jimmy Mike reunion tour. Now that I could see them doing just because he already knows all the terminology. I'm not saying it would work super well, but I could see them doing it.
Sorry, that's the face you make. That's the face I make when I drink one of those drinks that has like citrus added to something milky to make it curdle. Cement mixer or whatever. I'm like, no, that's a bad idea. Don't do that.
Is EJ's design on his shirt getting sold anytime?
Oh no, we used to sell these.
Yeah.
You're behind the 8 ball.
Way back in the day.
Yeah, this was our first bunch of merch that we created and did with a small family-owned shop in Vermont, and we had colors for every team. I just happened to grab one for Buffalo. I love it. I keep it. This is the one I wore when we went to hang out with our friends Rock Pile Report in Buffalo. And of course, I've got a bunch of family in Buffalo, so I enjoy it. It was in my bin of team shirts, and I was like, I think I'm going to wear that one tonight because, again, I have family in Buffalo. I'm not wearing a Dolphins shirt in Bills Dolphins game. Like, I will wear a Dolphins shirt. I think it's a cool shirt when the Dolphins are playing somebody else. When the Dolphins are playing the Bills, I'm wearing a Bills shirt. My dad was born in Buffalo. That's just how it's happening. Come on, Skylar. Oh, overcooked that one. He knows it.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins, which, by the way, chat, can you give some clarity on what happened to Teron Armstead? Because he was out there until he wasn't. And now Kendall Lamb's out there. Did he get hurt again?
Oh, man. Vaughn is killing dudes. He's making it look easy. Look at this rush. Like, get your hands off. Nope. Bye. Oh, just misses the football. That's why Skylar overcooked it. He knew he had to get it out. He had pressure.
Craig Petzinger for $5. Hey, y'all, missed my message earlier. Well, what do you think of the NFC North? But do you think the NFC North is largely locked for Detroit?
That's who I picked
to say the word locked after week 1, but it's looking pretty good for Detroit.
Their main competition,
give them odds like minus 500 to win.
Yeah. Their main competition was a fully functional Green Bay with Love at the controls, pressing hard, and LaFleur, calling all the right plays. There's going to be a bit of a blip in that timeline, maybe as short as, say, 3 weeks. And it is a long season. Green Bay could come back. And again, we've seen it tonight. Injuries, anything can happen. Detroit's fortunes could change. But as it stands right now, they are the leaders, and the folks that were closest in trail position lost a little ground. So it's pretty likely that Detroit is going to work towards a class win there. That's for sure. All right, here we go. Oh, plays with your legs, but other guys are fast too. You know who caught him?
Who?
Greg Rousseau.
Oh, because of course he did.
Because he's
Greg Rousseau.
He's a freak.
Wasn't a sack.
But he caught a mobile quarterback from behind, made it look pretty easy. It's crazy for a guy his size.
Sonny, shoot EJ a DM on Twitter. We'll get you that shirt.
Which one?
I don't know if you can see the screen, EJ. He says, still didn't get my free shirt for record predictions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Sonny. Shoot me a DM. I can get you that one ordered up tomorrow and sent. We work with Homage to make our shirts now, and they are tremendous. We've got a little partner backdoor for their portal, and stuff comes out really, really quick. So happy to do it.
Bryce Young to Dolphins from Ben for $2. Is this helping Carolina or Miami?
Maybe neither. I don't know
if it helps either one.
No, Bryce. We have thoughts on Bryce. I was giving him more benefit of the doubt before I went back to the tape. When I went back to the tape, it's bad. Like it's not good. It's real bad. Bryce looks broken right now. There's not another way to put it. He looks like David Carr, not Derek Carr, after David Carr took that absolute horrendous pounding in his rookie year. And Bryce is looking at the rush. He's dropping his eyes. He's throwing off his back foot. He looks like his first priority is avoidance, and his second priority is whatever else he can get done. And you cannot play quarterback like that in the NFL. I don't care who you're playing for. I don't care who you're playing with. Like, it doesn't work like that. And that's how he looks for the majority of the time. There are about 3 throws in the game from Sunday that looked as they should, which is drop back, hit the top of your drop, one hitch, hit an option. About 3 out of all the dropbacks that look like that. And the rest look like the other things I described. Avoidance, dropping your eyes, being at the top of your drop. And the pockets were better. Last year, I understand the offensive line was doo-doo. We talked about this in the offseason series. It was not perfect, but there were some good NFL pockets that he just bailed out of because he just basically broke down and said, I'm out. It's not going to work like that. There is substantive work to do to make Bryce Young a functional quarterback in the NFL.
The thing with Bryce, and I liked him a lot as a prospect because he was super quick. I'm not talking like quick physically. I'm talking quick mentally. Like he was extremely decisive.
Yeah.
He saw space extremely well. He had unreal pocket presence. He was accurate. He wasn't big. He wasn't fast. He didn't have an amazing arm. He didn't have the tools that CJ Stroud had. But he was, he had that kind of Drew Brees-ish type quality, even though he was even smaller than Drew Brees. When you don't have that, and you're small, and you're not fast, and you don't have a cannon for an arm, then you got nothing.
And you get the living hell beat out of you in your freshman season. I mean, you get absolutely just blasted from every possible angle. It's not great.
Bleak.
See, Bryce prospect would be a perfect fit as a Tua replacement. Like coming out of Alabama, we said many of the same things. We compared him to Tua. He is a point guard. He makes quick decisions. He is decisive. He throws, in between his linemen. He can hit guys in the middle. He throws with anticipation. He has a knack for making kind of crazy plays late in the down. Like there's a lot of similarities there to the qualities we're talking about. The current version of Bryce wouldn't help at all. Like, no, he's just going to break your offense.
Looks broken. Broken. Retire to a fire Greer who biffed 2 to 3 first rounders in one draft, the Herbert draft, and tank for Quinn/Cam from a fan who has never seen a playoff win.
Oh man.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Dolphins fans are there right now.
Yeah, if you're a Dolphins fan, it's not a good night. Obviously, your rivals are beating you in your own building, and there are much larger issues at play here. I would say sleep on it. Like, wake up tomorrow, sun's going to come up, have another day. Maybe calmer heads prevail.
I can't promise you'll feel better, but yes, the sun will come up.
I don't know that you'll feel a lot worse because right now it stings. It sucks as a fan. This is as bad as it gets. Like they, early in the season and everything you thought you might have is kind of crashing down before your eyes. Not awesome. Again, outlook will be a little bit brighter a little bit later on, but tonight it's not going to look great. Like it's just not.
Also, if you're a Dolphins fan, don't watch any sports show tomorrow.
No.
Just don't.
No.
Just save yourself the trouble.
Go for a walk, play around at golf. It's still nice down in Miami. Go for a bike ride, go for a swim. Whatever it is that helps you not pay attention to sports radio tomorrow, because it is going to be vitriolic. It is going to be horrendous.
Michael Horn for $10. Thank you, Michael. Panthers play the Chargers, Raiders, and Bengals. Is there a remote possibility they can only is there a remote possibility they can only lose by 2 scores?
By the way,
is it possible Young gets benched?
Your Khalil Shakir agenda just took another very positive step.
They will lose by at least 2 scores to the Chargers. I think
Probably.
they will, because Derek Brown's out. The Raiders, they'll lose. I'll say they'll lose by 12.
I was going to say 10 or 12 seems reasonable.
The Bengals, we gotta see. Because I still got to figure out what's up with Burrow.
Yeah, optimistic.
Like they should lose. Like they should lose to Cincinnati.
Yeah, but we'll see what we're actually going to get, whether that was a week one mirage or whether that's a little closer to the truth. And Bengals fans might feel a little closer to what Dolphins fans are feeling, which is worry right now. Optimistic O's fans asking the chat, do we do this every Thursday night? Indeed, we do. Optimistic O's fan drop by every Thursday night game this year. We will be here on the YouTube channel, having a couple beverages, talking about the game, talking about the rest of the NFL if the game gets out of hand. And heck, if it gets farther than that, we'll be talking about a lot of terrible stuff. We've had a couple of those, but drop by, see
More
which
than a
game it
couple.
is.
Us vamping and doing Q&As in the second half has become a little bit of a tradition on TNF
Well,
because very few of these games are ever good.
Yeah, we've had some. Well, the ones that really bother me are like bad off the crack, like 7 minutes in, and you're like, it's over.
You're like, oh God.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long night. This one was, interesting. I'm not gonna say super competitive until halftime. Like there were possibilities for both teams to win starting off on the third quarter, and then yeah, didn't work out.
What's the over-under on total completions in Packers Colts? Let's go 25. 25.
Yeah, it's pretty low between Richardson, who
hold on though.
Is boomer
25
bust
completions for 500 total yards.
Yeah, it's going to be very boomer bust because if they hit them, they're going to be big. Yeah. Malik is not a check down machine, and Anthony Richardson doesn't I don't know if he even knows the word check down.
Also, people forget Malik Willis also has a cannon.
Yeah, no, the guy can absolutely heave it.
Can't tell you where it's going to go, but it goes far.
But it won't go over those mountains, but it might go through them.
I'm just saying, if you're sitting in the bleachers for that game, make sure you bring a helmet.
For sure. Don't be like the Miami security guard that took one in the ankle. Josh!
I know.
Oh, boy.
That's a vintage Josh Allen. I can probably make that work play.
You know what that is?
We're up by 21. Fuck it.
Yeah. Sugar Rush Josh. Yeah, I'm going to heave it. I can make it. I can get that done.
While jumping over a trash can and a bench. Athlete, you.
Yeah, I'm just glad he didn't jump in the trash can. That would have been something. He could have, right there. See, here's how Miami sports fans and Buffalo sports fans are different tomorrow. Tomorrow, Buffalo sports fans are going to be crapping all over Josh for that throw when they were up 21 points. Dolphins fans are going to have a whole list of woes that are not what we would call first world NFL problems like the Buffalo fans are. So yeah, Buffalo fans will be absolutely fixated on Josh. How can you throw that ball? You're going to kill our chances later in the season if you're throwing that ball. We know it didn't matter last night, but later.
Here's the thing. If he's going to do it, and he's going to do it, he's going to have 20 of those a year. He just needs to get it out, right? Yeah. If you're going to do it against Miami when you're up by 21 against Skylar Thompson, where it doesn't matter. Like if you're going to, just let the kid have his zoomies. It's going to be fine.
So what you're telling me is McDermott should just have him throw 80-yard bombs for the next drive. Like
just get it all out of his system. He didn't get to do it the rest of the day.
He's just going to cross them off the list. Oh, you said there were 20? Well, there's 4 less.
Breadmaster $5. This is par for the course with this team. Why do I support them? Unfortunately, you were born in South Florida.
Yeah, it's
not much you can do.
It is a question all of us as fans ask ourselves in all the sports we follow. Certainly, Brett had his very public separation from the Texans. Let's put it that way.
Although the Texans issue was not
a different issue, but it's still a team. Like
not on the field. Very different issue.
Still doing these things to you. It's not a separation of team. Like the team is still causing these things, but hopefully Caleb doesn't get the zoomies on SNF. Yes, I imagine they are working through that this week in terms of zooming limiting behavior, because if he can just be who he is, like on the field. I think he's done a great job of being who he is in the locker room and off the field and everything else. But now it's time for on the field. And just, we didn't see a ton of that in college. Like even all the way back to Oklahoma, like he came in pretty dialed in and did not have a lot of games where he just missed a whole bunch of throws, like from just straight up overthrows. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Somebody's first professional start in the NFL where there is a ton of pressure and a ton of expectation. You miss 4 or 5 throws because you're all, amped up. Okay, fine. Like, don't make it a habit, but I don't expect it to be a habit. So I'm not really worried about it.
Teron Armstead ruled out with a shoulder. Robert Jones ruled out with a shoulder. Tua ruled out with a concussion, obviously. So the entire left side of the Dolphins offensive line is hurt. Thank you, Owen, for that. Calvin Ortiz for $2. Joe Milton to the Fins. Tom Brady. Well, Tom Brady might get a call.
Yeah.
Tom might get a call. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to take it, but they might try.
Well, I'm sure they'll try. They tried even when he was employed by another team. So
Nick
Von
Wall,
Miller,
$2. Fins fans are having 2023 Jets fans feelings.
Oh, division rivals just gonna rub it in the salt, man. It's not gonna be pretty.
Well, at least the Dolphins got more than 4 snaps.
I don't think that's gonna be cold comfort for either fan base. Von Miller, 2.10 seconds for time to pressure on 4 pressures. His fastest since 2010, I think it said, or 2021. No, 2021.
He looks back.
He looks very much more back than he was last year, for sure. Last year, he just kind of like had him out there, but like definitely wasn't impacting. He's got that Von Miller pop that you can't bottle back.
And EJ and I were watching him work out. We were like 10, 15 feet away from him.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. He was at OLM.
We were watching him work out in Dallas.
Yeah.
And he looked springy then. And we're like, oh, he looks good. And then so Vaughn was working out with Rashawn Gary on the field outside. So EJ and I were there. And then O-line Masterminds was going on inside. So we were also paying attention to that. And then after Vaughn and Rashawn Gary and all the pass rushers kind of packed up for the day because it got, Texas in July. It was super hot. Literally the peak of the day, peak heat of the day. I look outside and there's this, guy wearing what looks like a fucking Ed Hardy shirt and chains, just like crushing it. And I'm like, who the hell is that? And then he turned around. I was like, oh, it's Jamar Chase. So Jamar was working out there. All the offensive linemen were working out there. Vaughn and the pass rushers were working out there. And I was like, does everybody just train in Dallas before training camp? Apparently they do. But Vaughn looked good. Jamar looked good. So not super surprised by this.
I don't think the Bills are in danger of losing the lead, but they are going to have to tackle a little bit. And I don't think that their defensive coordinator is going to be super thrilled.
This is kind of the definition of taking your foot off the gas. So
yeah.
Like they could be up by 40 if they wanted to be, but but
you still got to tackle. Like, that's what they're going to bring up in film. I know it doesn't. There we go.
Yeah,
that's
Taylor
what we need.
Rapp had a nice one there.
That's all we need. Like, get a helmet on, come through the line, wrap them up, make sure it's not more than 3, 4, 5 yards. That's fine, but none of this like miss 2 tackles and let them go for 15 stuff. Because coaches. Coaches, Brett. They're not going to let that go in the film session. I know we won by 21, but you got to tackle.
Well, there's a great point that was made. I can't remember who made it, but when you win a game, you treat the team like losers, and when you lose a game, you treat the team like winners. Might have been a Parcells thing. Yeah. But like in a game like this, you have to pick out shit to nitpick to keep them.
Yep. Keep them engaged. Oh, there's no flag on that. I
didn't see it.
Check the pass rush. That is, I think they're giving the home team benefit of the doubt. There was some impedance to the pass rushers that didn't look legal.
Prince AD for $5. I think it's best for me to stream my RB and TE for fantasy. Waivers for RB are Bruce Irving, Bucky, or not Bruce Irving.
Bucky Irving.
Bucky Irving. I was
That's
like,
because you didn't
Bruce
like
Irvin.
him. It's because
Bruce
you didn't
Irvin
like
is
him.
who I was thinking of. Bucky Irving, Braylon Allen, and for tight end, it's Hayden Hurst and Juwan Johnson. I assume it's Juwan Johnson. Not gonna lie, I'm not super enthusiastic about any of those. Like, I guess I would go Hayden Hurst and Braylon if you have to. But if you have to at this point, you're this early in the season, you're already probably cooked.
Yeah. Fun fact about Bucky Irving from week 1. Bucky Irving had more rushing yards combined than all other rookie running backs.
How many did he have?
Like 78 or something.
He had that many rushing yards?
Something like that. 70, 78, something like that.
Hold on. Were they up by that much? They started giving Bucky Irving a shit ton of carries? Oh, 9 for 62. Okay.
62. Okay. Not 72. 62.
I mean, they did beat the crap out of him, so I'm not surprised.
But he had carries before they were absolutely thumping him. So they were sprinkled in. I mean, obviously, 62 yards. It wasn't
still though. Good day for him.
Rookie running back, first game in the NFL, picks up 62 yards. Okay.
Yeah, we'll take it. Braylon was barely featured at all.
Yes,
they weren't really in position to run the ball that much either, to be honest.
That's very true.
Should I start Bucky Irving or Jaylen Warren? I'm just going to default to Jaylen Warren just because Jaylen Warren's awesome.
Jaylen Warren is probably a better player. Bucky Irving might get you more yards.
Leighton Mann for $2. Jets Patriots shaking up to be vintage Thursday night football. Oh God, is that the TNF next week? Hold on.
I believe
Please
that's
tell
correct.
Me no. Oh God, it's Patriots at Jets.
That's always
Why?
It's always a good game, though.
Is it? Is it, EJ?
They do hate each other, which I appreciate.
Oh, they can hate each other all they want while they score 7 points. Like,
oh yeah, no, the combined total. Like, what's the point total for that game at? I'll take the under.
Why is that a primetime game? Ugh.
Aaron Rodgers.
It's the only thing that can save it for me is if Drake May plays, but I know he's not going to. But like, that's the only thing that interests me about that game. Truly.
Yeah.
Because at this point, like I have the Jets being like an 8 or 9 win team, which I had them being that before the season even started. So this is not like a overreaction to week 1.
Quick question that I'm pretty sure chat wants to hear the answer to. Where do you sit on Robert Saleh's seat heat?
Everybody's hot. Everybody. Like, yeah. It's been 3 straight years of if only this.
Yeah.
If only that. Next year. Like they put all their chips on the Aaron Rodgers thing. Like the entire power structure of the Jets put every last chip they had on Aaron Rodgers. They acquiesced to all his demands. They brought in an offensive coordinator that's in over his skis. They brought in Lazard. They brought in fucking Randall Cobb. They went all in on this. If it doesn't work, they get fired. And they knew that. They knew that going into this year. It had to work or everybody's got to go.
Nice rip by Skylar Thompson first. Second, saw a stat today on Saleh that kind of just, not going to lie, curled back hair on the back of my neck. In his tenure with the Jets, 18 wins as Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
As head coach. In his tenure with the Jets, 18 wins, 19 double-digit losses.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Sounds like it's plausible. Doesn't sound right at all. Like, it sounds wrong as it gets. Ooh, diamond. I'm sorry. I love diamond formations. Diamond formation. Hey, that's the second one, buddy. Wow.
Just make him block.
He's a good blocker.
Just make him block.
I'm glad he's a good blocker. It's the second touchdown. I'm not going to say drop. Second touchdown that's hit his hands tonight. This is a good ball from Skylar. Like, I'm not going to say it's a great choice to throw it, but he did hit him in the hand. So what are you going to do?
Get ready to learn outside zone, buddy. Like, that's what you're there for.
We don't need a Mike Gesicki. He can't block. Oh, sorry.
I think you missed my super chat on Jaden Daniels and his O-line. Hold on. Let me scroll, see if I can find it. If honestly, I just throw it back in the chat.
Yeah.
Don't pay for it, obviously, but
yeah, we got some thoughts on Jaden coming tomorrow on the pod as well. Largely in terms of run defense against somebody like a Jaden Daniels or a Lamar, but not necessarily against somebody like a Jared Goff.
Oh, you mean there's a little bit of a difference between Jaden Daniels as a runner and Jared Goff as a runner?
I don't know. We might mention it. Oh, dude, Bedford's had a really good night. Like, just as players who a lot of casual NFL fans probably don't know his name, like Christian Benford's had a really good night.
He's a good player. He was a good find for them. And the Bills tend to do that. They just tend to find diamonds in the rough defensively.
Yeah. Dane, Benford, like
I would even, Terrell Bernard, I would classify as that.
Yeah.
Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde
I was
were not seen
Mike,
as who they are.
Yeah, Micah back in the day for sure was going to be next name off my lips for sure.
Hey, Cole Bishop sighting. Let's go.
Yeah, he was inactive week 1, which is kind of a bummer. But
I think he was banged up.
He was. Yeah.
I didn't even realize he was playing tonight.
No, neither did I. But he's gonna show up, get some reps, and make a difference. Really like Cole Bishop, safety out of Utah. Played a bunch of the deep third, but very talented. Can play near the line as well. The Utah safeties, he played with Sione Vaki, who is in Detroit now as a safety / running back. But
special teams.
Yeah. But Cole and Vaki actually played sort of intermittently, usually out of a safety pairing, especially in college. One will be the deeper, one will be the more box safety line supporting. Nope. They switched almost completely evenly at Utah, and both were effective. I think Cole's a little bit more effective in the deep role. They both played about the same amount, but I think Cole had more production there. Vaki a little bit more production around the line, but Cole had production there as well. So I was thrilled when he ended up as a Bill, and really cool to see him in and making a play as a rook. It's what they got him for. They knew they were moving on from their longtime tenured safety combo that we just mentioned. Jordan Poyer, who's on the other side tonight, Micah Hyde, and Cole Bishop's going to have to grow into that role, and good to see him making plays early. It's good for young players' confidence for sure.
He's the exact type of player that Buffalo develops. Tough, versatile, can line up in multiple spots. He had a lot of Micah Hyde type qualities, to be honest. He reminded me a lot of Micah Hyde. So it's a great pickup for them. Alex, for $8 Australian, lifelong Finns fan living in Australia. Not a great start to my Friday. Appreciate your commentary. We appreciate you being here with us.
Commentary.
How is it in Australia?
Comedy commentary just mashed together. Well, it
depends
depends on what part of Australia. Depends on what part of Australia. Yeah.
In the populated eastern side, it's like 1:07 in the afternoon, so not bad.
Sorry to ruin your lunch hour, but Dolphins got some things to figure out.
Let Russ cook in Miami.
Oh boy.
You don't want that.
No.
You don't want that.
That's like Bryce and I. Like, just frying pan and fire is a real thing here. You can go worse quickly. There's a shortage of talented quarterbacks, and the ones obviously that have talent are going to be few and far between. And you're either going to have to overpay for them, which you don't want to do, especially in a rebuild situation, or you just kind of got to get lucky. You got to have a different belief in somebody that's on somebody else's practice squad, and there are those guys, but again, you need this is taken. You need a very particular set of skills. And if you don't get them, your offense isn't going to work. So, all right. Super chat.
Casey Handeman, my super chat. Thoughts on Jaden Daniels and the Commanders? I'm not sure what to make of the O-line. They don't look good, obviously, but not terrible either. I would say they are, if like bad to good was the spectrum and mid is in between, they're somewhere in the lower mid part of the spectrum, right? You can get by with it. You have a mobile quarterback who can get you out of trouble when those guys get beat sometimes. You're really scared to play man coverage against Washington, because Jaden's got a great deep ball, and he's very, very good in terms of deep ball placement. So even if you're in position, he can make you not be in position by just having amazing touch. And you don't want to play man coverage because like it's really tough to stop a hyper mobile quarterback like him if everybody's back is turned and they're playing man coverage. So, he kind of dictates the types of coverages that he's going to see just based on his physical skill set, to be honest. And just the type of ball he can throw. Plus, like, you don't really want to play man coverage against Terry McLaurin all day. So, like, there's potential with the Washington offense. I just want to see them have a consistent run game, but I don't think they're going to have that outside of Jaden creating, right? Similar to kind of like how Baltimore couldn't really run the ball straight up. Like a lot of their rushing production came from Lamar on broken plays. Like their offensive line just has not gelled yet. And Baltimore can't really just, run outside zone. They can't just run duo and get yards out of it right now. I see Washington very similarly. So it's like a lower mid part of the spectrum offensive line, just like Baltimore, but you can still win with that when your quarterback is a dynamic athlete.
One of the worst things outside of the very obvious Tua situation, which is obviously far and away the worst thing and in a different stratosphere, one of the lower worst things to come out of Miami for this game is what they have put on tape tonight against the middle run.
Mm-hmm.
Like every offense that is going to line up to play them in the next month is like, well, I know where we're going to start our game plan. And if that works, we're not leaving. We are going to run between the tackles of Miami because the Bills did it. And the Bills have a decent offensive line, above average, I would say, but not great. And they gashed them routinely. That's not something you want out there as an NFL franchise because NFL teams are ruthless and they're not going to be like, well, I don't want to do the same thing the Bills did. They're going to be like, something worked. Just drive the knife in and turn it as many times as you can, because if it wins us the game, it wins us the game. And it's one of the simpler plays to pull off technically. You got to want to, for sure, and you got to have the guys to do it, but like it's not it's not hard. I mean, you learn that play in Pee-wee, right? And teams are just going to do that to them until they prove they can stop it. And tonight they didn't really look like they could stop it at all against what I would call mid-level to slightly better rushing attack. Not great. Like,
yeah. What's going to happen when they go up against Houston?
Yeah, no, that is going to trouble them.
Game right there. Yeah.
Yeah, no. That is going to trouble them, no doubt. So, obviously, the quarterback issue is the larger one. Is what it is.
All right. Well, Buffalo Bills take their first division game of the year in blowout fashion. Unfortunately, it was never really close. Shocker, Buffalo's still good. Miami has a lot to work on. We wish Tua the best. Beyond all of Miami's problems as a team, we wish Tua the best. Hopefully, this is not as bad as it looks. Hopefully, he can, come back, or at minimum, hopefully he can just have a good quality of life. That's honestly the main concern here. So,
yep.
We appreciate all of you guys for coming by tonight, hanging out with us. Again, we are doing this every single TNF game with the exception of Thanksgiving week. And then I think there's one other week where I think we're traveling. But other than that, every single TNF, we're going to be here. We hope you guys join us and have a good time while we watch largely bad football games together and have nice drinks together as well. Want to thank Homage, want to thank Underdog, all of our sponsors that make this stuff possible. We couldn't do it without them. We couldn't do this without you guys either. So supporting them is a great way to support us. And I got nothing else. EJ, closing thoughts?
Obviously super unfortunate circumstances for Tua. There's no other way to put that. And yeah, we're thinking about him first as a person, second as a player. Other than that, good to see everybody again. Thanks for showing up. We really enjoy these. Football or not, this is a place where we really get to interact with you as the bootleg community. It's live. You can throw some questions in. We can have some fun. You can jab us for all the bad predictions. I picked the Dolphins to win the AFC East. That's not looking great right now. But again, we enjoy this together. Again, everybody from all over the world. It's a ton of support. We couldn't do it without you, with our patrons, our sponsors. We have a lot of fun doing this. We hope you learned something along the way. And we'll see you next Thursday.
All right. We out.